Beginning to feel a bit like Groundhog Day down at the courthouse over here. Every day coming down here, nonsense happening in Collect Pond Park. A lot of people saw yesterday, I was here with Charles, and there was just an amazing array of really weird people who don't seem to be authentic Trump supporters hanging out in the park. Some of them we've seen in Washington, D.C., some of them we've seen around the city. There's a real lot of Chinese Trump supporters. Oh, racism. Definitely racism to observe that a person is Chinese. It's just a fact, it's an observation. If a crime happened there and you were giving a description to the police, you'd say, I believe this person was Chinese. And frankly, some of them have told me that they support Miles Guo and the elimination of the CCP. It's private cell phone activity by the police all the time. It's got nothing to do. Might as well not pay attention. And they always look, caught off guard when I point the camera at them and point out that they're involved in personal cell phone activity. I mean, in my view, it's the number one thing. Put that thing in a police locker and you just don't have a personal cell phone while you're out being a cop. You got more important stuff to worry about. Now, the other thing that might happen today, I want to remind people to sponsor the show on, the best way to do it is odyssey.com/@crowdsource the truth. I say that because there's just such an aggressive push right now to totally destroy Crowdsource the Truth and remove it from the internet. A lot of people saw Crowdsource the Truth 10 has been completely deleted. It's kind of a pain in the ass. But people can still see all the shows on Odyssey. It's free to join Odyssey. And you can also sponsor on Odyssey. It's only $3 a month, plus a 58-cent Odyssey fee. And you get to keep independent journalism like this going on a censorship-resistant platform. And you're also going to get access to a huge library of sponsor-exclusive content. See, there's so many people right now who are just busily and actively... Now, let's see, do we have something happening there live? Are we not live? Interesting. Well, yeah, that's why people should be watching on Odyssey. Anyway, live on Odyssey, live on X. Let's check X. Been a lot of new subscribers coming in on X. Thanks to everybody who's been watching that video of Norm getting roasted as he comes out of the court building. I mean, again, it's a fun video just to be able to kind of call these guys out for what they're up to, their shenanigans. But what's really even more important about it than just the fun aspect of yelling at a douche like Norm is that it really consolidates the essence of what's going on in this case in a little 60-second beratement. They obviously made this up. And when I say they, I'm talking about Norm Eisen, Andrew Weissman, fellows at the Brookings Institution, the Lawfare Institute, that's Ben Wittey's, David Priest. David Priest tells us that he's former CIA. His ex-profile image shows him hanging out with George H.W. Bush. So this is not a Democrat-Republican thing. It's a criminal versus regular people thing.
First by having faith in God. Praying. Receiving the grace of the Holy Spirit.
So you're not allowed to just amplify sound out on the street. But the cops, they'll say, oh, there's too much going on for us to do anything. We have a lot of standing around and texting to do. Plus, we have costumed lunatics. We've got a little Halloween party happening that we have to oversee. Hot chicks might show up. We got to talk to them. all kinds of stuff going on. But there's no doubt that the police here, they are aware of me. They seem to have been doing things to disrupt my broadcast. So this is what I was going to say. There's something happening today that I know about that I don't want to say too much about because I don't like giving technical details to the people who do try to disrupt the broadcasts. But if anything happens, radio frequency wise or otherwise, to terminate this broadcast unexpectedly, there will be a sponsor exclusive director's cut. I'll put that on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com and subscribestar.com and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. There's a lot of people who have these police, NYPD press credentials who I think are really just gathering intelligence for the police. And that's fine if they're thwarting crime, but it seemed like they were doing it to create crime, which I don't understand. I don't think we want the police to create crime. And then people who were watching yesterday, the video with Charles, might have seen, again, we were just walking through here kind of like picking out the obvious actors. There's the producer again, I think, from yesterday. Oh, and he's talking to the guy from the New York Post, who I outed the other day.
Why not, right?
That's the guy who took the picture of Max Azzarello in the park. So now we see he's definitely down with the cops, and he didn't want to talk about Max Azzarello at all when I asked him. So here we got another guy. Any of these people going to pretend to set themselves on fire today? We just don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I think that guy's name is David Delgado. That's his name. And he's somehow involved with stock photography, taking pictures for the Post, coordinating. See, when I asked him if anybody else had any pictures of Max Azzarello from the day he ignited, he said no. Everybody else had already been assigned to other things. So how does he know that? Is he in charge of assigning people to things, and who assigned them?
I say what I say.
Just don't know. But it was a strange answer, I thought. Nobody was here, and that was conveniently when the guy set himself on fire. No photographers. We have like one cell phone video, pretty crunchy. And sure enough, who was one of the key initial distributors of that cell phone video but Oren Levi, who has now put a video of himself on X, of him and his friends, menacing me, assaulting me. So I think I have figured out, and again, I'm not an attorney, so whatever I say with regard to the law could be incorrect. Here's Olya Scootercaster. She's also a friend of the police, frequently wherever the action is. Could be that she's an excellent reporter, but again, they grant her and her team access to the melees. So when there's a fight going on, maybe it's possible that the police have a certain understanding with certain journalists who recognize that, one hand washes the other. And if you want access to the melee, you have to not expose the police inserting actors into the park. I noticed that Freedom News TV, Olya Scootercaster, yesterday had a lot of close-up shots of the actors that were in the park. Lots of close-up shots. And it was almost, it was edited together, creating a montage. I believe in français, the word montage literally means editing. In fact, I'm sure of that. And when editing was invented, see, this is interesting because a lot of people maybe haven't really had this said to them. It's one of those things that's pretty darn obvious and that you already know. But once it's actually said to you, it'll make a lot more sense. And I went to NYU Film School. A lot of it was a big waste of time. But yeah, see, certainly all these NYPD licensed users of the First Amendment are knowing each other and are friends with each other. Right? So it's like a little network there. Maybe they're working for the cops, gathering intelligence. That's certainly possible. Certainly possible. But yeah, editing, the purpose of it is to juxtapose images so that an impression is created in your mind. And if you watched one of these films about how motion picture editing affects audience perception, you'd begin to understand how, taking these close-up shots of what I saw from Olya Scootercaster on Twitter yesterday was like sort of a montage of very sad faces and people crying out. Mostly people looking crazy. I mean, if you didn't know what was going on in this park and you just happened to see that, your impression would likely be that Trump supporters are nuts, dressed up in all kinds of wacky clothing, looking like crazy people, hanging out here in the park with all kinds of signs and face paint. They had the Shaman guys were clearly featured. So that was established on January 6th, and now we see another shaman. So, I mean, again, you got to talk about like clarity and resolution, right? And I'm not talking about actual pixel resolution, but from the standpoint of the resolution of the story, we had a guy with face paint and a fur outfit and horns on January 6th. We got another guy here with face paint and fur horns. So that becomes a staple. That becomes like a thing, right? It's a theme. It's a repeated theme. And for people who maybe can't see so well, or can't think so well, or can't hear so well, these kind of blurry images, these repeated concepts, these repeated themes, they stick in people's minds, don't they? And they're giving you a perception. And I mean, look, I'm not even going to go over there and talk to Olya Scootercaster. I don't know her well at all. I don't know if I've ever even actually spoken with her. She's visually acknowledged me in places before by looking at me and kind of nodding her head. But she's certainly not been friendly. That's not to say that she's been directly adversarial, but I'm very suspicious of all these people who have NYPD press passes and don't necessarily get individual stories that are such breakthroughs, but they got these little everyday this, that, the other. Helps build the Twitter account. Morons like Oren Levi have six-figure Twitter accounts when he's really not doing any investigative journalism. He's just obviously got some source in the police. He retweets police news. He's given access to police events. He's given an NYPD press pass, so he's able to cover the thing the way they want. This guy's a maniac dressed in black with a stupid mask, so we can't see his face. He's not like the normal people who come out here. What do you think of this guy in the mask?
Sorry?
What do you think of that guy in the mask?
No comment.
It's crazy, right? You're a Trump supporter? What's your message today, my friend? You're a Trump supporter?
Fuck Joe Biden and fuck you if you voted for him. Other than that, we love you and you're welcome here.
You're a Trump supporter?
Absolutely.
You don't really look like one, though, with this ridiculous mask.
I'm a gay Republican and a
everything.
Trump supporter. That's
Okay.
racist. What do you mean I don't look like
Why?
one?
Just
I'm
the
a clown.
mask on. You are. You're
Happy,
dressed like a
hopeful,
clown. It
Trump
seems like
supporters
you would
clown.
dress like this if you wanted
I
to
came
make
here. I'm in the
Trump
Happy,
supporters
hopeful
look
clown
ridiculous.
show.
Don't you think you're contributing to the perception that
Well,
you
I
can
had
back
my
up?
hair
Don't
and makeup done by
step
Kathy
in.
Hochul stylist.
Don't you think you're making Trump supporters look ridiculous coming here dressed like
I
this?
think Democrats make us look ridiculous.
I think you're a Democrat doing that
Okay.
deliberately to make
That's cool.
Trump supporters look
That's cool.
ridiculous. Why don't you
Say it
show us your
loud.
face so we can know who you are?
Say it a little louder.
Why won't you do that?
Why should I?
Why? Because you're disguised.
Why don't
I'm
you show your
accusing
face?
you of being disguised, and you're refusing to show your face. So you're basically proving what I'm saying. You're in disguise,
proving that
pretending
you're a moron.
to be a Trump
Any
supporter.
Trump supporter knows me.
Yeah, you're pretending to be a Trump supporter.
Okay.
Or even if you're not, you're making Trump supporters look ridiculous. So thanks for
Meanwhile,
speaking
you're
to me.
hiding under a tree.
Have a nice day. Well, it's very sunny out, so I'm under the tree in the
Can't
shade,
take the sun.
waiting for something to happen and trying to avoid a sunburn. But I think most sensible people realize that guy's ridiculous, and he became upset when I started to question his authenticity, as so many of these other fake nut jobs hanging out in the park have done. But I think most people expect a verdict today, so we might get that. I don't really have an easy way of seeing who is. Oh yeah, there we go, 209 viewers. Welcome. So many of these other. Welcome, viewers on X. Thanks to everybody who's been following on X.com. if you're watching on some other platform, you can follow me on X at JG_CSTT. And that's a great way to follow. That platform is really growing. Thank you to all the viewers on X. Can I ask you guys a quick question? Because you've been talking to people around the park, right? What do you think of all these people in costumes and stuff like that? They're obviously not authentic Trump supporters.
I don't know.
That's right, you don't know. Yeah, but I mean, it's interesting. All of the NYPD licensed folks, they've got their credentials there. Jason can't have one. It's amazing the bureaucratic measures they can go to prevent you from getting that. So, okay, why has there been this really acute kind of increase in attacks against Crowdsource the Truth? They've been persistent for 7 years, but what we've seen over the past couple of days has really been something else. So what I'm talking about is, of course, the other day I was down here and I recognized so many of these people from now having done this for several years. We're on the back half of a decade that I've been at this, 7.5 years or whatever. I started in 2016, really dug in 2017, but I recognize a lot of these people and starting to get to the point where I can, even if I don't recognize them personally, we recognize what they're doing. So where did it start? It's hard to say. I think really even bigger than exposing the illegal undercover operations. In other words, if I was going around and I somehow found out that the police were using undercover operators to expose a drug gang, and I went on the internet and revealed the identity because I wanted to thwart the police and help the drug gang, that obviously is something that you should not be allowed to do. And the video should be removed from Twitter or YouTube or whatever. And actually you should get in trouble for that. But if I can just look at a moron and know that they logically don't make sense the way they're being presented to us and in the venue that they're being presented, that's just me intuiting, in part due to the police being stupid, that they are here to disrupt U.S. citizens. That's a nice wide lens. You getting a good shot of me? How's it going? Anything interesting happening yet today? What do you think of all these people in costumes? Do you think they're authentic Trump supporters or do you think they're fakers, Henry Smith?
I think they're authentic.
Why do you think that?
They wouldn't be out here if they weren't.
You don't think the police intelligence unit would insert fake people dressed ridiculously to make Trump supporters look stupid and then have people like you who have NYPD press credentials take pictures of that and put it in the newspaper so that Trump looks stupid? It is possible, isn't it? You got to consider all these possibilities. So that guy certainly got converted quickly from his point of view. But see, I do believe I know the reason why I've met this resistance, because it's the same people. Whether it was the NYPD who struck that video or somebody else, I have reason to believe it might have been coordinated, because there's a particular mental patient, and I'm being hyperbolic when I say that. I don't believe he's actually a mental patient. I think he needs psychiatric and medical help, and I do believe he's mentally ill, because this guy's been stalking me and harassing me essentially every day for 7 years. And he is a sophisticated stalker. He's not just some guy who comes around and antagonizes me and throws water on me like the nearly brain-dead self-admitted heroin addict, Orrin Levi. I'm talking about George Webb's brother. He's been stalking me and coordinating stalking campaigns against me for 7 years. And when I say coordinating stalking campaigns, he's been in communication with the police about the incident that happened outside of Twitter on November 1st, 2022. For months, he's got FOIA requests. What did he do? He's just constantly contacting them. He's even presented evidence that proves that it was not me who called the Coast Guard and said there was radiological material on the Maersk Memphis. This is their big hook, is that they're saying, oh, Jason did a bomb hoax, which of course I didn't do. And it's just like this. A lot of people who are just discovering Crowdsource the Truth or who have just seen me for the first time yelling at Norm, I'm getting these messages from them where they're like kind of amazed that how do I know all this, and this all makes sense, this guy has put it all together. The reason I know all this is not because I decided that Norm Eisen was the most important guy in the world and I was going to dedicate all my time to him the way some people dedicate their time to FelixSaterResearch.com. No, I was just going along doing my social media live stream broadcasts, and various people started to try to make it so that I cannot do that. And then a company I used to own, or a fake name that tricked me into believing a company that I used to own, got sued. And in the course of unwinding all that and losing all my money and getting all kinds of illegal court orders placed against me, unconstitutional, unfounded, based on false evidence, and all of it has been encouraged, promoted, participated in by George Webb's brother. Isn't that weird? Don't most over 60-year-old retirees who started out stupid with everybody in their family hating them, don't most of those people, particularly when they have handicapped offspring who can't care for themselves, who they've abandoned? Who would abandon their own handicapped son? What a heel. But don't most of the people who meet that description have a lot of stuff to do? Don't they have responsibilities? How could they possibly be so focused on thwarting me and this show? If what I'm saying is stupid and lies and I've made up, why would anybody care? I might as well be yelling into an empty hole. Because you see, when you start dealing with thousands and thousands of people, it's like big data, right? Not everybody is smart, but out of thousands and thousands, it's like Yelp, right? You know, if a restaurant has huge thousands of reviews, chances are it's going to even out in the end, and somebody's going to know if this place is good or bad. You all right?
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is, if somebody were putting out lies and nonsense, and it grew to the point where 120,000 people were evaluating that, I think if we believe in voting and all that kind of stuff, you have to believe that that large cross-section, that's a pretty good sample of people across the nation, across the world, 120,000. They should be able to discern if these are unimportant lies worthy of being ignored. And we really don't need morons like George's brother to become involved to decide what you should or should not be able to listen to or watch or talk about. But this is what he spends nearly every single day doing. Now, here's where it went crazy. Last week, early last week, I think, so maybe a week ago, after years, right? Probably 2 years. I first learned about Felix Sater in or around 2020 when Jonathan Snyder mentioned him to me. Jonathan Snyder is a Harvard attorney who has had Alan Dershowitz as a professor, he told me. Took some class with Dersh. But Jonathan Snyder represented my company in this fake lawsuit from the Emmys versus Multimedia System Design Inc., DBA Crowdsource the Truth. Now, the first thing that I said to Snyder was, this is not a legitimate corporate entity. There is no DBA Crowdsource the Truth. Crowdsource the Truth is just the name of a show. It's not a business, it's not a corporate entity. When people subscribe on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth or crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com or subscribestar.com or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. The money is paid to Jason Goodman. I am a, what do they call it? Individual employee, self-employed guy. There's no longer any company at all associated with me because they love suing those companies so much. And it's interesting because most people think you start an LLC or a corporation to protect yourself from legal liability. Lawfare, like everything these guys do, turns that sort of stuff on its head and it attempts to use the law as a weapon. So if you've done something legal, like starting a corporation, which would give you a certain amount of indemnification from liability, your personal assets. They want to attack that. And the way they do that is bring a lot of frivolous lawsuits against the corporate entity. Now, if you're Donald Trump or Mike Lindell or one of these guys who has millions and millions of dollars, you can defend a lot of lawsuits with that money, and it works out okay. So here comes our friend from Gays for Trump. How you doing?
How are you?
I've seen you around for years, and I'm
you?
sorry I've forgotten your name.
John.
John Jason.
Nice seeing you again.
Nice seeing you again as well. Now, I believe that you are an authentic Trump supporter. I've seen you
Absolutely.
for years.
100%.
I've seen your enthusiasm. I've gauged personally my opinion of your authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
You're a nice guy. You've never done anything to screw me up.
Right.
And your
I
concerns
hope I
are
never
all
do.
legitimate.
I would never
no.
want to do that.
What I'm setting up is,
Yes.
I want your opinion, John, of all these people here in the park with the costumes and the big
Yes.
signs and flags.
Do I think they're authentic? Do I think they're genuine Trump supporters? I believe they are. When whatever, if they say they're Trump supporters, I take them at their word. I take them at their word.
On the gateway funded.
Thank
You're
you.
going to jail, bro.
Exactly.
Hopefully.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it, man.
Thank you, man.
Doing a
But I
great
have no
job,
reason
man.
to doubt their motives. They seem sincere, and I'm 100% behind Trump. He is our last best hope to save America. And I will always and forever support this man. He supports gay rights. He's not a globalist commie like Biden, ruining this country. He wants the best for all of us.
Absolutely.
And he is going to be found innocent, and maybe we'll get a hung jury, but he will never be convicted of any crimes. I'm sure of it. He didn't commit any crimes to begin with. He's innocent of all charges.
Now, you said you have no reason to doubt these people's
Right.
authenticity. Is
Right.
that Lawrence Tribe right there? You're Lawrence Tribe, aren't you? Lawrence, come here.
He's not responding.
That is Lawrence Tribe, though, isn't it?
Okay, and
Anyway.
my tribe is
He's
who?
a Lawfare operative. So let me pose a possibility to you,
Yes.
because we've seen a lot of people
Yes.
here in the park
Yes.
who dress up as the QAnon shaman. They dress up, some guy's got a gorilla mask on over
Right,
there.
right.
Crazy outfits.
Right.
Then we have people like this
Plus,
lady
to get media attention.
who does not look like a Trump supporter at all, but I think it's not just to get media attention.
Right.
I think it's to portray these imaginary Trump supporters as lunatics so that the news sends out the perception that anybody who would support Trump is crazy, they're coming here starting fights.
Well, that's an interesting point. That's a very good point. Do I know if he's authentically a Trump supporter? How could I determine that? How can I gauge
You got to
that?
use your discernment.
Well, I spoke to him. He seems legitimate.
Which one?
The guy with
This
the
guy here?
gorilla mask.
This
or
guy
whatever.
here.
Yeah. Hi.
It's funny
he
because he
seems-
didn't seem legitimate to me. Isn't it so hot to be
maybe
wearing
my
that?
perception is wrong. I don't know. But
know.
he seems quite legitimate, and he
This
says
guy
that
just
he's-
took a picture of your ass.
Did you? Well,
Maybe you want his number. I don't know.
kind
did.
of desperate these days. Maybe I should
You
get his
did.
number.
I'm not trying to insult you. I'm just saying.
No, I
For a
have
woman
very
took
high
a-
standards. Anyone
Yeah.
who will say yes,
Right.
those are my standards.
Well, anyway,
But
John.
anyway, so you think that I should play detective?
No.
and
I just
interrogate
want
them?
to. No, not at
No,
all.
or
I
just
would
a-
never suggest that.
an
Let me give you
instinctual
another
thing,
piece.
Instinctual.
Give me another piece.
Yes.
So you're aware that when this first started 4 or 5 weeks ago,
Yes.
the cops designated the north side of Collect Pond Park as
Correct.
the Trump protest area.
Yes, I know that. I
And the
was here.
south side over here as the
Supporters.
pro-Trump area.
Right. Correct.
But yet I was in here the other day when
And
there was
people are crossing the lines.
well, not only crossing the lines, but we had a team of about 20 or 25 people with a huge banner.
Yes.
And I said to the police, can you ask these people to go to the other side?
Right.
And they refused to do it.
Well, because the police are told to stand back, and they have a right to protest. This is the argument I get.
But the
they
point
have a right
is,
to express
the
their
police
views. That's what
also are allowed to
But it could
control
escalate
where
into
the
violence.
protest happens, and they've
Right.
designated that's the side to protest.
Right.
By allowing them to come to this side, they're inviting violence. And
Because
I'll-
somebody got to them.
Well-
somebody got to the police and said,
I agree.
don't restrict them over there. Yeah, you know that. You know it's dirty politics
But
all
I'm
the way in
saying the
this city.
police are deliberately inserting them. That's what I think.
Right.
Are you aware of the NYPD intelligence unit? Do you know about that?
No.
So there's something called the JTTF. It's the
Yes.
Joint Terrorism Task Force.
Yes.
Let's step into the shade a bit, John,
Yes.
so we don't get so burned.
Right.
The
I don't want to pry.
JTTF is an FBI program
Right.
where the FBI signs a memorandum of understanding with the local police department.
Right.
And they basically federally deputize police. So they're essentially FBI agents.
Okay.
And the intelligence unit is part of this JTTF.
Okay, you're educating me. That's good to know.
So it seems to me there are certain people who I've seen around at these. You and I have seen each other for years.
Yes,
and as
we
I've
have.
said, you've never done
I'm
anything.
the real deal.
I agree.
I'm the real deal. Love this man. We'll do anything for him. Praying for him nightly that he's going to be found innocent. And I know he's innocent. This is a judicial lynching.
And your behavior is consistent with that statement, as I have observed over the same number of years. I've seen all these other people. However, many of the other people have done things that are inconsistent with the sentiment that you've just expressed, to
Yes.
the extent that it's caused me to look at what they're doing and put together different things they've done across many different videos. I've seen some of them wearing the NYPD undercover color of the day. Are you familiar with that?
No.
It's a color coding system used by the NYPD where a small article of clothing of a very distinctive color that's determined each day and broadcast to NYPD
See, I'm not
officers.
corrupt, so I don't know these things.
But what they do is it's just so that uniformed officers don't confuse undercover people
Right.
with members of the public
Right.
if some sort of melee breaks out.
Right.
And what I've discovered is when, over the past days and weeks, when there's somebody in this park who I've suspected for some amount of time,
Absolutely, sir. I'm proud to support this man.
What's your name?
John McGuigan from Westfield, New Jersey. I'm proud to support this man. He's innocent.
but what I've observed is that when I start to question them about, hey, why did you do this when I saw you a year ago at Gracie Mansion?
Yes.
Why did you say this? Why are you always trying to start a fight with me when the cops are around? Somebody wearing plain clothes with a cell phone strapped to his belt suddenly appears out of nowhere and stands behind that person. And when I point the camera at him and I say, here's your undercover police protection detail, the undercover protection police get all nervous. How does this guy know? And they say, no, I'm not the police. And they
Blew their cover.
Exactly. And what I'm getting at is I'm not trying to thwart the police from stopping crime.
Right.
But what appears
Which
to
they
be
don't
happening,
do. They're not allowed to anymore.
they are starting crime. They are instigating crime, and they are instigating fights because, you see, they seem to be upholding the anti-Trump that side, pro-Trump this side
Yeah.
today. And laws cannot be enforced arbitrarily, or we get what we've got going on inside that courtroom right now.
Well, and also, the real criminals are now running around the streets of New York, you know, raping, murdering, stealing, and nothing is being done about it. And even if they're arrested, they get released in 2 hours, thanks to Kathy Hochul.
Right.
So there's no law and order in this city. This is a lawless city. So I've embraced that concept by now because you can't fight it.
Exactly.
You can't fight it. There's no law and order in this city anymore.
I'll leave you with this idea, John. There's one set of criminals that aren't running around in the streets. They're inside that courthouse prosecuting
Right.
Donald Trump.
Thank you. And the judge too. And the judge too.
Good to see you,
Have a good
John.
day.
Be safe. So there we go, John, spokesperson for Gays for Trump. He's a friendly guy. I've seen him around for years. So why is it that there are normal people who I've seen for years whose behavior, whose statements, whose activities? How's it going? Hey, you guys know Miles Guo, right? Miles Guo? Miles Guo? Don't know him, right?
No.
Okay. You're not with that girl, right? Yeah, of course not. So what if China had declared war on the United States of America? And the way they did it was they bribed the President of the United States. What if they bribed the mayor of New York City? What if they bribed the chief of police? What if they did this 10, 20 years ago? Started inserting CCP agents into the cops. I don't have any evidence that this happened. I'm just speculating. Who did we have yesterday? Detective Zhang. It's an awful lot of Chinese people by percentage here in the park yesterday. I don't know what the Chinese diaspora in New York is like compared to the non-Chinese population, but definitely outsized representation in this park. And looks like we got two police dudes looking right at me over there. Could be normal. But what if this is the beginning of a war? And what if they've corrupted the police as a component of that, and me exposing it led to the NYPD shutting down that YouTube video the other day. We know from the congressional testimony about the Twitter files and all that stuff that there was a special dashboard that various government agencies had to interface directly with the social media companies, and I guess ostensibly to, you know, have quick access to blocking your videos instead of just some random person using the software interface that they have. You've got your FBI, DIA, whatever it is, hotline to shutting down Jason's videos. You can do it while he's still live. That's rare, right? You don't often see that. It can happen when egregious things are happening. I think if you have a gun on a live stream, they'll shut it down. I didn't have that. There's a couple things that'll do it, but you know, of course, YouTube doesn't tell you. But why is this all happening now? I don't think it's simply because I'm exposing this, I allege, illegal undercover activity. I don't think the police are allowed to use, particularly if Oren Levi was telling the truth when he said he was Mossad and his brother said they were Mossad. If that's true, and the NYPD are using foreign intelligence assets to track American citizens who they have no probable cause to suspect of crimes, that is so outrageous, it needs to be exposed. And every single one of those foreign agents, whether they're from Israel, China, Vietnam, wherever, I don't care. But they should not be interfacing with law-abiding citizens and members of the public, no way, no how. If you want to get that guy involved in some plan to disrupt a terrorist organization that's going to save loads and loads of lives, okay. But I'm not into these counterintelligence operations in this park that are designed to allow this sham prosecution to proceed and to demonize legitimate American citizens who have decided that out of the two choices president, they prefer Donald Trump. It's just insane. But again, I mean, people, I hope, will recognize that this is not just the next isolated incident in a series of isolated incidents. This is an ongoing chapter. This is yet another chapter in an ongoing narrative that is the Get Trump deal. And, oh, wait a minute. Got to be careful. See, that's what I said. There's definitely going to be some expected radio disruptions today. And also, I have reason to suspect that there could be newer technology than stingrays, that when these suspicious-looking people stand near me and I start to get disruptions in my broadcast, I just wonder, are there technologies for disrupting 5G or, you know, who even knows what's going on in these phones? Not me, but people who want to disrupt it probably do. Now, wasn't this lady yelling and screaming at me the other day, and wouldn't she be yelling and screaming at me again today, logically? Wouldn't that seem like the type of thing she would do? Maybe she thinks all white guys look the same. That's pretty believable. Oh, and now we see the guy's face.
Free Trump!
I don't know, do we think that guy's a Trump supporter or do we think that guy's a ridiculous actor? So the thing I think that really got them upset was what I was saying about Michael Flynn, and specifically Michael Flynn's relationship to Felix Sater. So this guy's been here every day too. Maybe not every day, but the past couple days. I mean, you tell me, what's your impression of the collection of motley characters with signs on them, messages on them so that they can be photographed and easily convey whatever it is they're trying to convey? So right, it started with that interview with Felix Sater. Well, let's go back actually. It did start with Norm. See, what happened was, here's how it went. I had a conversation with Andrew Giuliani. And I mentioned to him Felix Sater and that nobody. Okay, see now John is activated. He's thinking about what I said. I'm not trying to tell anybody what to think. I just want to share information that I've seen in the public domain. If people are interested in hearing my insights about it, they can listen. And they form their own conclusions. Wow, look at that. That's a good trick. To train the dog to stand on his shoulders. Sir. Excuse me, sir. How long did it take to train the dog to stand on your shoulders like that?
He is a service dog for epilepsy. So it was rather quick. He detects my seizure, so he'll warn me.
Wow, that's amazing. I've never seen a dog do that before. It's very cool.
Very good.
What a good dog. So now wait a minute. So
I'm not crazy about any of it.
What do you do for the slaves? What do you guys do to the slaves? What rights do you do to the slaves? What?
You're probably a homophobe too. You don't believe in gay rights.
What do you do for the slave?
this guy?
Yeah.
What do you
challenging
do
it.
for the slaves?
Gay rights aren't important, he said.
Think about it.
Gay rights aren't important.
What?
It's important to me.
I never said that.
Yes, you did.
Fake news, fake news, fake
My
news.
brother-in-law.
So I mean, again, there's a big desire here to just create these fights, and it's seems like that's what the cops want to do. Now, we should also notice that these cops do nothing when there's an argument among those people, but everybody who was watching yesterday on the sponsor exclusive segment with Charles will recognize that when people who I had presumed were fakers and were being protected by the cops, when they started arguing, the cops came out right away. Why are they waiting now? Why is it inconsistent? I don't know. But basically the order of what happened was, I had this conversation with Andrew Giuliani. I mean, this is what they want, is this sort of antagonism and fighting. Yeah, that I think is the lady who was, sorry ma'am, that is the lady over there who was bothering Laura. Let's see if we can see her. We can make out her face when she turns this way. I'm pretty sure that's her. But so she's got her standard sign. Maybe that's normal, but it just feels to me like all of this is coordinated. And again, it's, you know, they don't want to get into the kind of, yeah, that's her. They don't want to get into the kind of granular details that I'm getting into with facts and evidence. They just want some very coarse thing, like, see, this is clearly a fight. This gives them the content they want for the news. People tune in, oh look, Trump supporters being stupid, dressed in weird costumes, fighting. Here comes Olya Scootercaster. It's all so interesting, isn't it? I mean, it's just a manufactured melee, in my opinion. Seems to be a manufactured melee. All the photographers know each other. So I was talking to Andrew Giuliani, and I explained to him my hypothesis at that time last week, which has evolved since then. I told him that I believe that Michael Cohen was an FBI undercover operative. And it still might be correct, I'm not sure. I think he's more accurately described as a Lawfare operative. And even the hint at that seemed to set them off. So there we got the police escorting this guy away. We got the Chinese lady yelling at him like she was yelling at me. This is just idiotic. So after years of trying to contact Felix Sater, DM on Twitter, I think I tried to email him, might have gotten an email address. I tried a lot of different ways to reach the guy. Phone numbers, couldn't find a phone number working for him. But after this conversation with Andrew Giuliani, I started tweeting it around to Norm and people like that, saying, hey, how come no one is mentioning the name Felix Sater? How come no one will mention Felix Sater, was basically what I was saying. And then Felix Sater said, there, I'll do it, Felix Sater. And I said, wow, that's interesting. First time you've said anything in many, many years of me trying to contact you. And that ultimately led to an interview with Mr. Sater. And people can still see that. It's on Odyssey, it's on X, it's all over the place. And Felix said a bunch of things in that interview that I think he probably regrets. Mr. Delgado knows all the photographers. He does seem to be somehow coordinating photographers, because he told me everybody else was already assigned that day when Max Azzarello was in the park. It's weird. Doesn't want to talk to me about Azzarello. But so after that interview with Felix Sater, a bunch of things happened. We had that woman Julie Lewis come and start saying things like, oh, Jason is lying. But just like with Oren Levi, when we tried to challenge her on what is Jason lying about, you couldn't nail her down. It was like trying to nail down Jell-O. First she said I was lying about the secret agreement between Felix Sater and Andrew Weissman, but what she said was she changed what I had said. She claimed that I had said there was a secret agreement between Felix and Weissman to frame Trump. Now, obviously, they didn't write out, we are going to frame Donald Trump, signed Felix Sater and Andrew Weissman. But there is a 1998 agreement between Felix Sater and Andrew Weissman that was secret until 2018. And it's very strange because Felix Sater insists that he is a Defense Intelligence Agency asset, that he was recruited by Milton Blaine of the Defense Intelligence Agency, and that he's not an FBI asset. And that raises yet more questions because the Defense Intelligence Agency, it's a military thing. That's the Army intelligence. That's what General Michael Flynn was the head of. And it's weird, too, because Flynn got really upset when I started talking about this. And, you know, Flynn had blocked me 2 years ago. He unblocked me to comment not on the video of Norm, and he only did this after the Norm video started going super viral, and people were like, who is this guy, Jason Goodman? The Felix video started getting views. All these videos started getting views. And he tells everybody, oh yeah, I had blocked this guy previously, doesn't explain why. And I think that this was a little olive branch from the general sort of telling me, hey, I've got 1.5 million people following this Twitter account. If you want my followers to follow and like you, here's your opportunity. But instead, I took the opportunity to ask the general to explain these really anomalous entries in the IRS 990s, the public tax returns for the charities run, for a charity, I should say. This is specifically the America Project. The general's brother, Joseph Flynn, and well-known jackass, the Ginger Frankenstein, Patrick Byrne, he is also a director of the organization. He is paid, you know, whatever that document said there, 65,000, something like that, 65,000. Patrick Byrne, according to that document, is paid 65,000 to be on the board of directors and to work at the nonprofit 30 hours per week. All right, so if that's the case, why does that 990 show the salary for the primary director, Joe Flynn, to be zero? Patrick Byrne is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Why does he need to be paid $65,000 if Joe Flynn, who has no other obvious employment, is paid zero? How can Joe Flynn even do that? How does he buy food? How does he pay for his house? It doesn't make a lot of sense. But separately, you saw that other page on the 990, which was for independent contractors. Now, nonprofit organizations can hire plumbers, they can hire lawyers, they can hire accountants, they can hire investigators, fundraisers, all kinds of different things that you might need to run your organization. And they're independent contractors and they're paid, hey, how's it going? And they're paid like that. But that's not the way you pay the director of a nonprofit. And there is this LLC called Brisas Suaves that was created less than 2 years before the America Project itself was created. And Joe Flynn is one of 2 members in that. The other is the lawyer who created the thing. So it's possible, and in fact it seems extremely likely, that that is a shell company. Brisas Suaves LLC appears to be a total shell. Either the guy controls a bunch of shell companies to just pull them and, you know, inject them into some screwy project whenever he might need to, or they created this in anticipation of creating the nonprofit and knowing that they were going to pay Joe in this way. Well, why would you do it? And again, none of this has been proven in court. I could be completely wrong. Joe Flynn, Mike Flynn, Patrick Byrne, any of these guys would seem well situated to answer these questions if I were wrong and explain how I've got it wrong. But until they do that, what I've presented, as far as I'm aware, is what's called prima facie evidence. There's no problem. No one can point to this and say, hey, that's not a real 990, Jason made it up. That's false. Go to the IRS and download it. Go to the IRS, go on Google, IRS charity search, type in the America Project, look at their 990s. I just got this stuff. The one I got, I think, was from ProPublica, but you're going to see the same thing on the IRS webpage. All right, good. And you can look at it for yourself. This is filings that they made. So if I'm wrong, it would be certainly very easy for them to say that and explain what the hell is going on with that thing, but they don't seem to want to do that. They just want to say Jason is lying, but not tell you what I'm lying about. Jason is grifting, but not explain how I'm doing that. Jason is not grifting. Jason engages in sales. The way I earn money is by making videos of interesting things that people are interested in. So now we've got the Staten Island crew arriving. So that guy was just looking at me right as the dude walked by.
Always good to see you in your business attire.
Oh, thanks.
You look sharp always.
Thank you. Thank you.
You look like a leader. Very good. Very good. You look the part. What's your first name? When? And
So those guys know each other. But anyway, when I ask people to sponsor the show by going to subscribestar.com or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, or when I tell people that odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth is the most economical way to access sponsor exclusive content and sponsor the show, that is sales. There's a product there. It's exclusive videos. And if you enjoy the videos that I do, I can basically guarantee that you're going to enjoy the exclusive ones because we get into a lot more stuff. So that's called sales. Excuse me, sir. How do you know that guy?
Just the rallies. Just holding an interesting sign.
Are you a journalist?
Yeah.
What do you report for?
For a Chinese newspaper.
Which one?
We call it a Wall Street newspaper.
What's it called?
For a Chinese newspaper.
What's the name of it though?
Wall Street newspaper.
Oh, Wall Street
Yeah,
newspaper.
magazine. Yeah.
Got it. And it's printed in English or Chinese?
Chinese.
I've never seen that. All right, have a nice day. Thanks.
You're a journalist yourself, too?
I'm not Chinese.
No, you're a journalist yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this is our biggest journalist in the Chinese community.
She was running around taking pictures of everybody's face
saw that.
yesterday. It was quite interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, have a nice day.
You
Thanks.
too, you too.
So it's interesting. See, everybody's very interested in these guys. This guy was there.
We should not act as if. Hi, how are you, my brother?
I'm well.
Always good to be with you. I haven't seen you much since Grand City, but that's
Let
all
me
right.
ask you something. What happened to Danny Presti?
Oh boy.
All the felonies
Now,
got
that
dropped.
is an important question that we need to talk about.
All the
between
felonies
me
got
and you.
dropped, didn't they?
But right now we got
Didn't all the felonies against Danny get dropped? Are we sure Danny Presti doesn't work for Cuomo and the NYPD Intelligence Division and that was all a setup? Are we sure?
Go on.
I mean, it seems like it was a setup because
We're talking about something.
his felonies got
esoteric.
dropped, right?
You know what the word esoteric means, right?
No, we're talking about something
Off the
real.
beaten track. My brother, how are you today? So it's
Doesn't
like,
want to talk
are
about
the
that.
Rangers
Pretty
gonna
interesting,
pull it
isn't
out
it?
today or not?
How do I
think
know
the
about
Rangers-
that? He doesn't want to talk about it.
What makes you say that?
Hey, did you guys catch that video of me telling Norm what's what? Wasn't that great?
Norm
Norm Eisen.
Norm Eisen inside.
Well, he came outside.
Oh.
I explained to him how Costello had blown away their lies. Costello said,
Put that on camera.
absolutely, I'd love to. My name is Jason Goodman. We're live on Crowdsource the Truth right now.
Hey, what's up, guys?
I love America's Voice.
Excellent, excellent. Good. So I'm
think-
gonna. It's like art imitating life, imitating art.
That's
It's
right,
like,
yeah.
I'm gonna film you, filming me.
We
filming you.
might shatter the universe, but
I
I'm willing to
know.
try
It's like
it.
a portal might
Yeah.
open.
That's like Russian dolls.
Yeah.
An enigma wrapped in a mystery.
It's the
Yeah.
it's the video equivalent of a Russian matryoshka.
Yeah.
Matryoshka. But anyway, what I was telling Norm.
Troika.
I'm going to follow up with you later about what you said.
Sounds
because
good.
You blew my mind, you know that. And I haven't had my first, I apologize.
No, it's
I haven't
good.
had my first cup of iced coffee.
I'm on
To be
3.
continued.
We'll talk later. Yeah,
12 o'clock.
I'm intravenous in coffee today. All right, you ready?
I'm ready. So
Hey, hold on a second. You ready? 1, 2, 3.
So a lot of people saw me the other day talking to Norm. Is 3I talk or you talk? I'm sorry.
Yeah, my phone didn't start
No
when
problem.
I hit the button.
Why don't you
All
start and then I'll
I'm
answer.
Gonna start it. And what's your full name?
My name is Jason Goodman and the
Goodman.
show is Crowdsource
I
the
know
Truth.
you, Jason. Jason Goodman, Crowdsource, right?
Crowdsource the Truth.
The truth. What's going on?
Well, a lot of people have become familiar with Crowdsource the Truth over the past few days because I saw Norm Eisen
Yeah, I was sitting
leaving
next to him
court.
yesterday.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I was asking Norm about the testimony of Robert Costello, which Judge Merchan has worked very hard to keep out of this proceeding. And he's really the most important witness.
And Brad Smith?
Well, I think, yes, Brad Smith is very important. They've also kept him out. But the thing that's so important about Costello that's difficult for people to understand, and it's quite complicated, because he wasn't actually Cohen's attorney. He had one meeting with Cohen about representing him. And so what happened was Cohen called his law firm and said, hey, my premises have just been raided by the FBI and I need representation.
Right.
So if you're a lawyer and somebody calls you and says that, you go and meet with the guy. Now they're having a meeting, and this is an attorney-client privileged meeting because Cohen is sharing information with the attorney in the course of seeking representation. So now what's happened is Costello has testified before Congress and this court that after that meeting, Cohen went to the FBI and he lied. He said that Costello and Rudy Giuliani were trying to bribe Cohen with a presidential pardon. And this is important because, you see, Costello is a very unique guy in that he was an assistant U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York with Rudy Giuliani back in the 80s. And Costello is in his 70s. Rudy just had his 80th birthday.
Very few sharper than Costello.
Very few sharper than Costello, but think about it for a second. How many attorneys that were assistant U.S. attorneys with Giuliani are A, still alive, they're going to be in their 80s or older, and B, still practicing? It's possible that Costello is the only person that meets that requirement. So Cohen calls him to seek representation for this alleged FBI raid, but have we ever seen any evidence that there was an FBI raid? The first thing that Costello says to him as his attorney is he says, Michael, you must have done something else, because how could the FBI have probable cause to obtain a search warrant for your premises just for an NDA? It's totally legal. Now, Costello has never told us if he's actually seen this search warrant, but of course, Michael Cohen cannot be taken at his word, and he could have easily lied and just said the FBI raided his house.
He also testified he would never take a pardon, and then 10 days later, he wanted a pardon.
And you guys know, even
calling Costello to contact Giuliani for that pardon.
Exactly. And even if Real America's Voice, even if Fox, CNN, anybody calls the FBI and says, can you give us a comment about this raid of Michael Cohen, they're going to say, we can't make any comment about an FBI investigation or even confirm or deny that there is one. So Cohen goes to the FBI and he says, hey, I want to rat on my lawyer. The FBI says, sign this waiver, because this is a privileged conversation you had with him that you want to testify about. Then they call Costello and they say, we want to interview you about your representation of Cohen. And he says, do you have a waiver? They present the waiver, and then he goes in there, but they were not able to get Costello. I allege that what they wanted to do was jam up Costello and say something like, hey, this is a federal crime. You're going to spend 10, 15 years in jail. Why don't you sign this piece of paper that says you did something else? We'll let you out on probation, no jail, you'll be out of here on Saturday. And the something else is going to somehow jam up Rudy Giuliani. Then they're going to take that plea arrangement to Rudy Giuliani and say, why don't you, Rudy Giuliani, instead of spending 15 years in jail, say Trump did X, Y, and Z, and then we're going to prosecute him on the basis of that.
So where can our viewers follow you at Crowdsource The Truth?
Best way to do it is on X, at JG, like Jason Goodman, _CSTT, like Crowdsource The Truth, or on odyssey.com/@CrowdsourceTheTruth.
So, do you think we're going to be here till Monday? It's Thursday afternoon right now.
Hard to say. I think that this jury is going to want to decide this because they were clearly impatient after that long wait.
But there's obviously controversy in the deliberation room, or they wouldn't be asking for this stuff to be reiterated to them.
I think one of the things that people need to ask themselves is, why are there 2 lawyers on this jury? I've been on jury duty many times, 4 or 5 times. And anytime anyone says they're an attorney, it's basically a foregone conclusion that they aren't going to be selected, I presume, because an attorney wants lay people. They don't want another legal expert to control the jury and sway the opinion, and I think that's happening.
And what about in closing here, the smorgasbord of options that they don't have to be unanimous on what charges to bring to
when
make
people,
a verdict on Trump?
It's a big problem. When people say this is lawfare,
it doesn't have to be unanimous.
Right. What I want viewers of Real America's Voice to understand is that lawfare is not just simply a buzzword. There is a Lawfare Institute run by an individual named Benjamin Wittes. And it's a related organization to the Brookings Institute, where Norm Eisen is a fellow. That's why I was saying all of that stuff to Norm, because Norm Eisen, Andrew Weissman, former FBI General Counsel, former Assistant U.S. Attorney in the Eastern District of New York, where Jack Smith was also a U.S. Attorney, where Burl Howell was also a U.S. Attorney, where Loretta Lynch was also a U.S. Attorney, where Valerie Caproni was also a U.S. Attorney. All of these people are lawfare operatives engaged in lawfare. And the reason why that happened, it's an excellent question. It's because there's normally a tension in a normal case where a judge really doesn't want the reputation of being overturned on appeal because it makes it seem like they're not making proper decisions.
Yeah.
In this case, because the outcome is intended to prevent Trump from winning or even being able to run, they do not care. Merchan does not care if he gets overturned. He doesn't care if he gets censured. I would argue that he doesn't even care if he gets impeached. This is the outcome they want. They want a conviction, and they're doing everything they can to get it.
I appreciate your insight again, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Go and check out Crowdsource the Truth.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, man.
Good to see you. Thanks very much. There we go. Thanks for talking to me. That was great. Yeah, everybody knows the shade is where you got to be. So, okay, back to this idea of General Flynn. So I basically, that was the sort of up-to-date, kind of most refined iteration of that portion of the hypothesis. The General Flynn stuff becomes important because what does Alina Habba say? The appellate division has affirmed the validity of President Trump's substantial claim against Mary Trump. We look forward to resuming this suit to ensure she's held fully accountable for her blatant and egregious breach of contract. So that's the thing, when you're a billionaire and you have maniacs coming at you all over the place, you've got non-disclosure agreements with all kinds of people. You know, I'm sure even in your own family, you've gotten into disagreements with family members. There's cousins and nephews and nieces who get along with each other maybe better than others. When you're a billionaire, who knows how that goes. But I think what happened was when I even started tapping on this and was remotely close to something that made sense. That guy's a cop from the other day. By speaking to Andrew Giuliani and talking about Felix Sater, Andrew Weissman, I believe the people involved in that became concerned that Andrew Giuliani, could obviously and easily tell his father, and that represented a substantial threat to their operation. And so I believe, I don't know, but I believe that prompted Felix Sater to contact me. And I mean, again, I can't determine why, but he did. And that led to the discussion. And he said a bunch of things during that discussion. Probably the most sensitive was when we were honing in on Valerie Caproni. Now, for people who are new viewers and have maybe never heard of Valerie Caproni, don't know who that is, Valerie Caproni was an assistant, well, she was the supervising assistant in the U.S. Attorney's Office, and she was the head of the Organized Crime Division from like about 1988 to 1989, or 1990, yeah, 1980, maybe 1983 to 1998, but with, she left at one point and came back. Now, is that somebody I know over there? It looks like him, but it could be no, maybe not. Nah, I don't think that's him. He would be wearing a suit. So she was the head of the Organized Crime Division, and Felix Sater confirmed the other day that he did interact in some way with Valerie Caproni prior to the signing of the 1998 agreement with Andrew Weissman, and he knows her, she knows him. It just made obvious sense. I mean, there's no way someone's going to be in charge of that whole division for years and years and years. She leaves in September 1998 to go to, I think, the SEC, which is interesting in terms of how that's been used to manipulate and control big tech companies and Elon Musk. But she leaves, and 2 months later, 3 months later, in December, they signed this agreement. Andrew Weissman's name on the agreement with Felix Sater. It's a totally secret cooperation agreement with the Department of Justice. You know, the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Eastern District of New York is prosecuting crimes in Brooklyn and Long Island. They're not getting involved with military stuff. Why? Why are they signing an agreement with a DIA asset? Felix was adamant that he has no agreement with the FBI. He's not working with the FBI. He's DIA. So he's a military asset. And so that brought up this idea, and again, I'm not an attorney, So if you are and you're watching this and you're saying, oh, this guy's wrong, yeah, that's entirely possible. You know, crowdsource the truth. Some people mistake it and think that I'm here giving everybody the truth. I'm trying to find it. So if I say something that's incorrect and you know the correct answer, you can send it to me. You can, the best, easiest way to do it at this point is to just get onto X and follow me at JG_CSTT. If I'm saying something that's incorrect, or if you worked in the U.S. Attorney's Office, or if you have some insight into prosecuting people, or anything that I'm saying, you send me a message, and if what you're saying is relevant to what I'm saying, and even better yet, if it provides some new information and new insight, it can be integrated into the larger hypothesis. Please don't mistake that for meaning that I'm some kind of wedding DJ where you can just like blast any suggestion for an investigation and then I'm gonna go run off and do it. Some people do that, and perhaps that's a compliment. They are impressed with how I'm investigating these other things and want me to apply that process to whatever story is important to them. But be aware that that is a primary tactic of social engineers, that when I am reporting on something and making progress, they want to tell me to go get onto something else so that I stop paying attention to what I'm doing and pay attention to what they're doing. And in the worst case scenario, what they're doing is getting me to cover some story that is intended to jam me up. Perhaps like a story of the Maersk Memphis going to the port of Charleston, start reporting on that, and then you're going to get jammed up and George and his brother will sue you. But now, isn't this the same guy who was just wearing a mask before? Now he's got the mask off and he's playing music and he's screaming, and everything this guy is doing is making Trump supporters look bad.
We love you.
You know that
Try to
guy.
explain to people there's nothing peaceful about war.
Yeah.
We're trying to prevent that.
Why are you questioning?
What?
What are you questioning?
You know that guy.
I don't know. I know. Yeah, everybody's voting for Trump. I love. Who has Trump? I hate.
Not true.
It's an honor. It's an absolute honor. How you doing out there?
So black pants, black shoes, black outfit, different outfit. So now it makes it look like two different crazy people. He's got a substantially different outfit. How is this not Antifa tactics? Changing the clothes, playing music loud, violating the noise ordinance. We can chat, sure. Let's go over here so this guy's noise isn't getting us. I'm getting the shade. Yeah, but it's just too sunny over there. What's over there?
Can I grab my breakfast?
Your
before
breakfast?
we talk?
Yeah, sure. Do whatever you want.
I'll just sit over there.
I just want to be somewhere in the shade so we're
Yeah,
not
I
roasting.
hear you.
Go
So,
grab breakfast.
let me go
I'm
like
over here.
this.
Yeah, sure.
Let me take this off.
Right.
Those donuts look very good. But anyway.
This is the craft services table for the
Oh,
actors.
you got, let me go get my
Yeah,
food.
do whatever you need to do.
Lily, how are you today? Have you met this gentleman? These
Yeah, you
women
have.
are from, China MAGA.
I know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's one of us.
You have met me. You've met me.
Oh, yeah?
I've been in this part many
Your
days.
mother, I love you.
Okay.
I love mother.
That's Lily.
What?
Her name is Lily. Lily. Like lilies of the field.
Right.
Sidney Poitier.
Yep. No problem.
I'm gonna go grab.
Go ahead.
And I'm sorry to bother you, but you said
not
something.
bothering me.
You said something that stunned me.
Yeah.
That really like, huh?
Well, go grab breakfast and then we'll talk
Okay.
about it. So anyway, I don't know. What do people think? Is that guy doing a good job of representing Trump supporters, or is he making people think that Trump supporters all wear crazy outfits and look like lunatics? There's a lot more news here than there are Trump supporters. So we've got the anti-Trump on that side. So anyway, back to Felix Sater. So seems like he didn't like it that I was talking to Andrew Giuliani. Gives me the interview, says a bunch of stuff. Then we had that Julie person show up and say, oh, Jason's lying, no agreement, yes agreement, blah, 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 blah. The other thing that started happening is the Twitter account started getting spoofed. Now remember, the actual Twitter account doesn't have an underscore in front of the JG. This fake one has added an underscore to confuse you. But the real way you can tell is it says that it was created in March of 2014. Now that's impossible because I didn't create Crowdsource the Truth until 2016. And there's no way to change that username. At least I don't know of a way. I should say, I think a regular Twitter user can't change their username. You can change your screen name, right? So I could change it from Crowdsource the Truth to Jason Goodman, but I cannot change @JG_CSTT. If anybody knows how to change that, please let me know. If you know how to change a Twitter handle, tell me, and I'll try it. And we can prove, out of everybody who's seen this, one person said you can change it. I think that person was wrong. Many people have told me that you can't. Plus, I tried to change it, and you just can't. The interesting thing is that Twitter account has since been suspended. You can't see that anymore because it's gone. And what's super interesting is there's another one that they left that is not gone. And so my question becomes, if I reported both of them, why is it only the one that reveals super user involvement that gets deleted? Are they hiding a mistake that I pointed out right away? It sure seems like it. Now let's see if we can, I think I can do this. This is a little complicated, but we'll see if we can figure it out. We might be able to do this. Yeah, this should work. Let's see. Do we have that? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so here's Twitter live. This is complicated to do, but we can see this. There is _JGCSTT. That one has been suspended. I don't remember the exact handle of the other spoof account, so I can't show people that right now, but when I checked it last night, it was still there. So, I mean, that's my question. Is Twitter covering its tracks? Did somebody who's friends with Adam Sharp, or George's brother, or Chris Boozy, did they say, oh my God, somebody made a mistake with that 2014 account, get it off of there? I just don't know. Because remember, let's see, do I have it in this video? No, I don't think I have it in this one. Because remember, we had that Richard Lurie Twitter account, which was also created in March of 2014, and there were a lot of blank March 2014 Twitter accounts that I had located at that time. No, I don't think it's in that video. Well, we can do it right here, live on Twitter. Who is Richard Lurie? Richard Lurie is a clerk at the U.S. District Court in the Eastern District of Michigan. Now, I don't know if this is his Twitter account, but you can see the screen name is Richard, and the @ name is Richaff Lurie, Richaff_Lurie28, and it's joined Twitter March of 2014. Now, what's interesting about this is it's just not tweeted anything. It's got no media there, no replies to anything, nothing at all. So when I first saw this, I just presumed that an account like this, you know, it would be used for, I thought it was like a virtual private network of blank accounts that would be used for clandestine direct messaging. And it could be that. The reason I arrived at that conclusion is that you'll see that the followers of this account are all similarly named, also blank accounts, which is super weird. And they were all also created in March of 2014. For people who maybe haven't seen this before, I think you're going to find this quite strange. But now we're looking at this Jaden57 account. All right, so there's some accounts that have pictures. I mean, you know, these things have existed since 2014. Some real people might be following, but look at this. This is a network of blank accounts following blank accounts, all created in March of 2014. Oh, I might be covering that with my video inset there. That's not too smart. But you can see here, Cooper95 is just like Richaff Lurie_28. It's not tweeted anything. It's not got any media or anything there. Nothing. And it's followed by, here it's got 100, no verified followers, but all of these blank accounts, all created March 2014. Now, do we have another fight happening? So, you know, that's what I'm saying. These goofballs are here all day creating these media opportunities where this is what they want. Pictures of fighting at the Trump rally, because Trump people are maniacs, according to the news. That's what they're trying to do. Oops, facing the wrong way. So also what they're trying to do is things could be said in that melee which would result in a video getting struck. But the police are over here monitoring this very carefully. If that occurred, it would be smart for them to send an officer over and just make sure. Why stay there behind the fence and wait until there's a fight in the middle of that circle? Why are these police and these other police reacting so much differently to the way the police reacted when that happened previously? So that's what was happening. That lady appears to be part of the same team that was here the other day with a sign filling the park. So acting. See, now look, he's blocking. Look, he's strategically using that to block somebody. Why is he doing that? Is that not an NYPD approved? Why is he blocking that? Oh, sorry.
Tear those signs up. Don't let them get out of here. Make them say one You're disgracing the LGBTQ community. You're a disgrace. Get the fuck out of here.
This is all about freedom.
Trump is beyond a reasonable doubt. That's exactly what Norm Eisen said the other day. I think this is all staged.
I think it says that.
We kicked your ass, Dick. We kicked your ass, Dick.
Oh, she's free. Whatever the fuck she wants. Free to say whatever the fuck she wants. Offended, huh? Yeah. Trouble now.
Yeah, that's right. She's a fucking disgrace to the gay community. She's a fucking disgrace. He doesn't belong over here, and neither do you. Get his ass out of your office. Get his fucking ass out of here.
Get his fucking ass out.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here, bitch. You're a bitch too. You're a cunt too. You're a fucking cunt. You have a dick. You have a cunt. Pussy boy.
At least that girl's got more balls than any of you.
Fucking pussy boy.
At least that woman's got balls.
Yeah, that woman has more balls than you.
She ain't got more balls than me.
That's right. You know that. You know that.
See, I want to know why. What's the difference between community affairs?
We're not gonna
be.
If I don't feel the 5 o'clock news, I'm gonna dump all of you.
Get him the fuck out of here. That traitor. Right there. That bitch's guy. Right there, honey.
Yeah, get this guy up too.
We told this guy, get him out. This guy, get him out. This guy, get him out.
So this is something that they want. Is this stuff ripped on the ground? That's a picture. This is a picture. It's like glamour shots of the community affairs people. That guy's wearing a Balenciaga t-shirt.
Make sure you get the money first.
It's just some actor who probably works for the cops creating an incident. Create a lot of content for the news that makes it look like Trump supporters are out of control.
And I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to fight.
So I spoke to Andrew Giuliani about Felix Sater, and I think that made Felix Sater a little nervous that certain things I was saying might have been close enough to what was actually happening, and the fact that I was saying them to Andrew Giuliani might get them back to Rudy Giuliani, and that would be bad for their operation. Yeah, see, that guy, by having music on, he deters YouTube live streams from speaking to him. So they've got all kinds of methods. If somebody like me is disrupting what they're trying to do, all kinds of methods as to how they can mitigate. And so Felix Sater contacts me. This is something I've seen. You know, when you get close to something that they don't want you talking about, they want to take control of the story. So Felix Sater comes and meets me in the park. He says all kinds of stuff. Then we have Julie, who gets on a tirade about how what I'm saying is I'm lying, according to her, and she won't really explain what I'm lying about. She gets into all the Port of Charleston information. So where did she get that from? Is George's brother sharing that with her? I have noticed he's created a few new Twitter accounts lately. And by the way, she's such a good researcher, she comes to the conclusion that I'm George's brother. So she's at least an idiot, and that is such a substantial mistake that it should cause any thinking person to question.
Try it again, harass gay people. Come on, Robert De Niro said we're gangsters. Gay people are gangsters. Come on over here again. Kick their asses.
They have done all that. We took purposes only. First, we're trying to cause Donald Trump a heart attack. They won't do it. They won't ever take that. Second, what they're trying to do is keeping Donald Trump away from all the states.
So, yeah, she started making up all kinds of nonsense that seems to have come from George's brother. And by the way, that, in a broader sense, fits the lawfare pattern. Because what do they want to do? They want to smear you with something, and that's like their big main thing. For Trump, it's that Russia was hacking the 2016 election to allow him to win. And they keep coming back to that. Even in the Twitter files, congressional hearing, they asked Schellenberger if he thinks Russia hacked the election, and he said yes. So, I mean, that's just stupid. How could, what evidence is there? I don't know who carries on with a fight when the cops show up. That makes no sense. I mean, I guess we see lots of people who actually fight with the cops themselves, so people do it differently. Yeah, it's just one act after the next. Don't know what's going on with that. So with Trump, it's Russia hacked. With Jason, it's Port of Charleston. But you see, what she's doing is she's relying on fake information. She's doing exactly what I'm accusing her of. She's being a social engineer, relying to smear me. Because the FBI never determined that I was involved in that thing that she's saying. And George's brother does this all the time. He relies on his own testimony, his own lawsuits. And this, by the way, speaks to what's going on with Stormy Daniels and exactly what I was trying to explain to Lee Stranahan a few weeks ago and to Norm Eisen, which is that they've just made this up. And by putting it in a lawsuit, by Stormy Daniels putting her allegations in a lawsuit, same thing with George's brother, by putting it in a lawsuit, these things become privileged statements that aren't actionable. And so they can say like, oh, this was said in a lawsuit, and it's true, it was said in a lawsuit, but it was a lie when they put it in the lawsuit. And so we say, well, why don't you sue the guy for lying about you in a lawsuit? You can't do that. That's not the way it works. Statements made in a lawsuit are privileged statements, just like statements made to law enforcement are privileged statements. And so, if Stormy Daniels writes a book making these allegations, then she gets sued. If she brings a lawsuit containing all these allegations and then writes a book about the lawsuit and all the ensuing chaos, then she gets paid. And also, if she just decides that she might sue, she can have her lawyer contact Trump's lawyer and say, hey, my client is going to bring a lawsuit filled with terrible allegations that your guy is going to hate, and why don't you pay her loads of money and we'll make it go away. It's a pretty common occurrence. Billionaires getting shook down by scumbags. I think it happens all the time. So it seems like that's what was happening.
Whether she's paid by Soros or not, we don't know.
How many terrorist attacks have happened?
Yeah, so they got different plans for who's gonna create what scene where. But that's what they do. They start. It's like building blocks, right? So the Russia hacked. That's the foundation. In my case, their Port of Charleston story is the foundation, and then they build things on that. So they start a lawsuit and they make allegations in that lawsuit, and then, they got sanctions. Now they can talk about sanctions, and they had Valerie Caproni issues an order in the lawsuit that says this lawsuit is primarily, two conspiracy theorists whose occupation appears to be, accusing each other of things on the internet. So she's trying to put me on the same level as George's crazy brother, when the actual fact is I didn't know this guy until he came out of nowhere and started suing me and sending me things in the mail and harassing my parents every single day. I mean, this is sick, psychotic stalker behavior that you would hope the police and the FBI are in place to stop these things when they begin. But they're enabling it everywhere, just like we see them enabling this crap in the park. So, I mean, there's no reason to believe that any of that is remotely authentic. At least from my point of view, there's no reason to believe that. I think those are those same idiots I saw the other day. Yeah. I didn't catch what the back of their shirts said, but seemed like the same guys to me. So Julie was relying on all this stupid information that she seems to have been getting from George's brother. And we know that George's brother seizes on every opportunity that he can to do anything at all to make my life difficult. So, I mean, you can just sort of automatically assume that he's going to see what's going on Twitter and assist anybody who's in an argument with me or in any kind of conflict at all to try to help make that more of a challenge for me to deal with. So there's a lot of reasons to believe that George's brother would have been in communication with that lady, Julie Lewis, and shared loads of stupid fake information with her, and she was trying to blast that out and put that out. But she was just adamant that Jason's lying, Jason's a grifter. That's the other thing. They always want to tell you that Jason lies to his audience to get money, but they cannot tell you what a specific lie that they allege that I've told. Like, they can't say what it is. The other day, Oren Levi said it was that I lied, saying that he used facial recognition software to track me. Well, I didn't lie. That was just my best hypothesis based on the evidence that I've seen. Now, it's possible that he didn't do that, but that's not a lie. That would be me being incorrect. And I've got a lot of evidence that informs me that he did. Could have used something else. It could have been the cops using facial recognition tracking software and just sending him a tweet or something saying, there he is, go nab that guy. I think this might be the same TRX I saw yesterday, because there's not that many of them around, and there is one. Raptor killing 800 horsepower, insane Ram truck. Pretty cool. So anyway, Flynn, he unblocks me after that Norm tweet starts gaining a lot of traction. I don't know exactly why. Maybe it's because the Twitter account was growing. They definitely have exhibited that, you know, when I have Chebarashka on there and 95 people watching, they don't really care what that says, because that nobody's really listening to. But now that the account has grown and there's like 20,000 people who are following on X at JG_CSTT, I don't know, perhaps that's the reason why they're more concerned. Maybe the message gets more traction when it goes out now and they're interested in that. Just don't know. But for whatever reason, he hasn't told me. Flynn comes out of retirement, unblocks me on Twitter to communicate with me about this tweet about Andrew Weissman, of all people. He says, for what it's worth, I blocked Jason for a long time for my own reasons, but I am for exposing the truth. This issue is vital, as is his street confrontation of Norm Eisen. So yeah, he acknowledges that. And the thing is, when a 1.5 million strong Twitter account starts retweeting your stuff, a lot of people who might not ordinarily see it get to see it. And that's what I'm talking about when I say I think that was his olive branch. You know, it's sort of like putting $10,000 on a table, not necessarily saying this $10,000 is for you, but depending on the nature of the conversation, if somebody just breaks out $10,000 and puts it on the table and looks you in the face, there's kind of an implication that perhaps this could be yours. So I have a feeling if I had started saying, hey, General Flynn, thanks for unblocking me. You're such a great patriot and people should donate money to the America Project, I bet you he'd be retweeting lots of Crowdsource the Truth stuff. But he didn't do that. He refused to answer my questions about what's going on with the filings, the IRS filings from his nonprofit, the America Project, because the evidence that I see causes me to believe that they're stealing money. So if that's wrong, that was an excellent time to tell me what I don't know about accounting or IRS 990s or nonprofits or any number of things that he could have told me about that he did not. I don't know why, but he just got angry and he blocked me again. So now people don't know the answers to those questions. And then all kinds of weird spoof accounts and fake named accounts started showing up, sort of, you know, harassing me and counteracting my message with stupid responses and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, this is so inexplicable, this 2014 tweet, how this account could have been created in 2014. I mean, it just reeks of somebody at Twitter or a hacker who, how can a hacker hack Twitter? And I mean, isn't that a big risk? They're going to violate the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act to hack Twitter, to change an account name, to troll me, knowing that that account could get blocked 2 days later. And somebody might say, oh, but Jason, if it's Twitter doing it, how could the account get suspended? Well, obviously, the account was suspended after I started making all kinds of noise about how it's technologically, apparently, not possible for a standard Twitter user, X.com user, to make that kind of a change to an account. It would be easy for somebody who works there or somebody who has a back door into it, or maybe somebody who controls a network of deadhead Twitter accounts created in March 2014. Is there something unique about those accounts? I don't know, but there's all this evidence floating around March 2014 Twitter accounts, strange behavior from George Webb, his brother, and people they seem to be affiliated with. People will say, oh no, George is fighting with General Flynn and saying all kinds of things about General Flynn. And how could George possibly be working with General Flynn? Well, I mean, again, this controlled opposition idea seems to be, you know, a big part. Get somebody who's against Trump to put on a Trump hat and walk in somewhere and convince people he's for Trump and then get in the middle of the thing and cause a fight or whatever. That's what they basically want to do. Now, the last time I was on this side and went over near that woman holding that colorful sign, she is the one who informed us that it was separated into two sides, and sure enough, the police, it got broken up and we went to the other side. So it's one of these things that works sometimes or one directionally. I don't know how that really works. So Flynn does that tweet. Then we had there was a whole bit of business where Julie, this was the other thing she did that was disingenuous. No justice, no peace. Yeah, hey, keep smiling, you dopes. It's so friendly to just like stick your bullshit in somebody else's video. So Julie, she's on Twitter tweeting like a maniac. And by the way, it would be one thing if she said like, oh, this guy's putting out stuff about Felix Sater that I don't agree with. If you want the real deal on Felix Sater, visit my blog. And just a tweet or two about that would make sense from somebody who's like not that interested in what I'm saying, which that's how she was behaving the whole time previously, not that interested in me, because I tried to contact her in good faith to talk to her about Felix Sater a while ago, and she didn't want to have anything to do with that. So it was strange that she was now so aggressively interacting with me throughout the day, somebody who supposedly didn't have time. And she says, oh, Jason is lying and he won't even debate me. And I said, well, I'll debate you. We debate you right now. Give me a DM so I can send you a Zoom link and let's get on a debate. And she was resisting that, continued to tweet, continued to say I was lying without saying what I was lying about, continued to ignore my requests for her to send a direct message so that I could send her a link so that we could have this debate. Then she got on this whole kick about how she's busy at work, so she can't debate, but she can tweet all day. And she's certainly interested in convincing people that I'm lying about something, but she can't quite put her finger on what that something is. So she eventually sends me the DM. We agree we're going to do a debate at a certain day and time or whatever. And then before that day and time arrived, of course, she blocked me, so there was no debate. Then the Norm Eisen tweet goes viral. And a lot of people start seeing me yelling at Norm Eisen, and we're inspired by that because I think a lot of reasons. People are confused by what's going on in this court, and that brought some clarity to it. People know there are these sort of, behind the scenes people who you don't necessarily know who they are. And you just sort of have this sense that they're doing something, and when I can get in there and explain right to the guy's face exactly what he's doing in a way that makes sense, and people say, hey, wait a minute, this seems like what's going on. Who was that? Your handlers?
He started talking lately about
So that lady is coordinating this effort. She's part of a coordinated effort. She's been at a lot of these things. She's an operative for somebody. That's obvious. So after blocking me, which would seem to indicate that Julie doesn't want to have a debate, I was invited to a X Spaces, first and only one I've ever done. And Julie just insinuated herself into that and started trying to have this debate sort of as an ambush. And she attempted to control it, but failed. She wanted to, no, forget about all the background. Let's just talk about the contentious part that I've got queued up to make you look bad and to manipulate this argument. I don't want to deal with facts. I want to deal with fluff and nonsense, like all this fighting in the park over here. They don't want to sit around and allow people to absorb the facts and discuss them in a way that will bring clarity to this. They want to broadcast a message that causes everybody to believe a particular thing. Trump supporters are crazy, they're creating fights, and that's all you're going to get. So she basically got kicked out of that Twitter Spaces. You can also see that on all of the Crowdsource the Truth platforms. It's a little difficult to find stuff from days and days ago on Twitter, on X. Hopefully they can improve that. But if you want to see that X Spaces, I did capture it and put it up on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, and it's free. You can get on there for free and see it. You don't have to become a sponsor to watch things on Odyssey, but if you do, you're going to get access to the sponsor exclusive content, and Odyssey is the most economical way to do that. So she got bounced out of that ridiculous argument, and Flynn unblocked me again, said some nonsense on some other tweet, and then reblocked. I mean, he's acting like a 14-year-old girl. Unblock someone to tell them you don't want to talk to them, and then reblock them right away. It doesn't make sense to me. Well, it does, but it doesn't make sense in the context of that being legitimate activity. It makes sense in the context of him being nervous about what I'm trying to share with people, because it seems to indicate that him and his family are stealing large amounts of money from people who are donating it to them. And it just strikes me as the type of thing that he should want to know more about. And what's emerging now is, it seems like what he was really upset about was my revelations and discussions about this secret agreement between Andrew Weissman and Felix Sater. Because what's been coming out since we started talking about this is a news article from the New York Times from 2018. This is from May 8th, 2018, and it's talking about how a shell company that Michael Cohen has, who else do we know that likes shell companies, but this Essential Consultants LLC got $4.4 million before Trump was elected, and continuing through January after he was elected. $500,000 came from Columbus Nova, which is an investment firm whose biggest client was a Russian oligarch named Viktor Vekselberg, who Charles told us yesterday is very involved in Skolkovo. And Skolkovo was that sort of technology festival that was arranged, I think, when Hillary was Secretary of State. Look at how dangerous this is, right by the cops. Not saying anything. Skolkovo was a plan to essentially, in my opinion, steal U.S. technology and send it to Russia. But, you know, that was, I hadn't thought about Vekselberg. I didn't know who he was, actually, when I saw that article. Charles clarified that, and I haven't thought about Skolkovo in a while. Charles knows much more about those things than I do, but it's interesting. Because, oh yeah, sorry, the other piece of that article that we forgot to say is that Felix Sater and Michael Cohen authored a peace plan for Ukraine and had it delivered to Michael Flynn when he was the national security advisor, or whatever he was, for Trump. So wait a minute now. How come nobody has been talking about that? That seems like a big deal. You've got Felix Sater, who, by the way, is high school friends with Michael Cohen. He's known him for a long, long time. And there's this kind of screwy deal where some huge sum of money is going from a Russian oligarch. Seems like maybe somebody Felix Sater would know. And it's going to Cohen. They share this office in Trump Tower. And, whoops. And they really hate it when I talk about Michael Cohen, Felix Sater, and Michael Flynn. They don't want to answer any of these questions. Seems like, in my opinion, there is a plan there to get Trump and that Flynn was in on it. And it was facilitated somehow through Felix Sater and Michael Cohen. That's what it looks like. I mean, they could answer these questions and explain to me how I've got it wrong, but they're choosing not to do that, which just, it really only makes me more suspicious. How do you feel about that? Well, don't people think that they could easily answer these questions if they wanted to? Seems to me they could. Joyce Vance is the co-founder of States United Democracy Center with Norm Eisen. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of nonprofit stuff going on with Norm Eisen and all of these people. Nobody should do anything to any of the people that I talk about. However, looking up information on the internet like that and sharing it, that is very helpful, because no, but where in there? Someone is telling me you can change it. This guy says you can change the @name in your account. See information about your account. I don't think you can do that. I was in there trying to change it, but let's see. And I mean, this is somebody I don't know who's giving me, you know, an incomplete answer. So here's settings and privacy. Is that it? Your account information. I don't think it's a good idea to start messing with this right now while I'm live streaming, but I don't know. I think I looked at that. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's see. The thing that's weird is, even if I'm wrong about this, whoops. Yeah, he is right. It does look like you can change it in there. All right. Okay, so it wasn't somebody from Twitter. It does look like you can change it. Why did everybody say you can't? Interesting. No, but wait a minute. Is that it? Maybe that is it. Okay, so it looks like you can change that, but that doesn't change the fact that the thing was created in 2014. All right, that is helpful. That is useful. Thank you. So that's good crowdsourcing. That's just a message. Okay, I think he's right. That's Aaron. Aaron, if you're watching right now, I agree with you. It does look like you can change it. Okay, good. So that's helpful, useful crowdsourcing. I didn't know that. Multiple other people didn't know that. Aaron knew. Thank you, Aaron. Excellent crowdsource info right there. Okay, so let's add that to the hypothesis now. This now eliminates the high probability that it could only be done by somebody at Twitter, and now Aaron has straightened me out. I agree. Anybody could change that. But they still screwed up because they changed it, so okay. That just strengthens the hypothesis that it was somebody who had an account created in March 2014. And we've already seen that Richard Lurie, or somebody named Rich Half Lurie, who likes the screen name Richard, they had an account in March of 2014, and it seemed to be associated with this large pool of burner accounts. Maybe that's what that is used for. Maybe it's not a virtual private network of accounts engaging in private messaging, or maybe it is, and there's a lot of them, and they can be given out to people, and the names can be changed, and the usernames can be changed, and when you want to spoof somebody's account, you take one of these burner accounts, and instead of creating a new one, because you need a phone number, and by the way, how did all those accounts get created? Did somebody get a ton of phone numbers and a ton of whatever? I mean, maybe it's harder to create a fake account now that Elon Musk has done things, or claims to have done things, to improve the security on there. So maybe that would be the reason to go back to a 2014 account, because you don't need to prove who you are to change it and pretend to be Jason Goodman. That was super helpful. Thank you, Aaron. I love that when crowdsourcing works. Let me just tell him, you know what, I agree. You have convinced me. You're right. You are correct. Thank you. So that was good. See, and that's the other thing. Even if you say, oh, 20 people on Twitter said it, it must be true. There's one guy who knew that it was wrong, and he just showed me the evidence. He was right. Very well done. See, and that's different than sending me a message saying, oh, you should be looking at Jeffrey Epstein or child trafficking or somebody getting murdered over here or whatever. Everybody's got all kinds. I mean, I used to say this to David Hawkins. Every co-host believes the story that they are on is the biggest story in the world. And I don't say that to diminish the importance of anybody's particular story, but it's just a problem of how to balance, how to prioritize can be a problem. But there, Aaron sent a very important and concise piece of information directly related to something that helps advance the investigation that I'm already on. So now we understand that someone who possessed an account created in March of 2014, changed the username, changed the screen name, copied all of my tweets to create a spoof account that looked exactly like mine, except for an underscore in the screen name. And the person who did this realized, whoops, we can't have one that was created in 2014 because that gives it away that probably whoever is associated with that large trove of accounts created in March of 2014 did this. And the best evidence I have indicates that George Webb's brother is the only person I know who's associated with all those March 2014. Sorry?
I said, get you some good pictures. You doing it for news?
I'm doing it for Crowdsource the Truth. Are you a juror? Are you
I am. I've been battling the MAGA.
Battling the MAGA?
Yes, sir.
You think Trump is guilty?
He's guilty. Now, whether they try him, I wrote a book about Trump. I'm sure too.
But didn't the lawyer for Michael Cohen say that Michael Cohen came up with this scheme on his own?
No.
Yeah, he did.
No, listen what I'm saying. The lawyer was a liar.
Why was he a liar?
He wasn't Michael Cohen's lawyer.
He was in a meeting to be retained by Michael Cohen, and they had an attorney-client privilege.
No, when he was with Trump. When he flipped on Trump, the guy flipped on him. That's the story.
The guy met with Michael Cohen.
Michael
Cohen called his law firm seeking representation, and they had a meeting at the hotel, which was an attorney-client privileged meeting.
Trump was going to pay
for it. Trump didn't even know about it.
Trump told him he was going to pay for it.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he is.
The guy called custody. You don't know what you're talking about.
No, you don't know what you're talking about.
Have a nice day.
Hey, white privilege.
Excuse me, what?
I said white privilege don't work here.
Okay, you're a racist. Get lost. Moron. Just get lost, buddy. So we got a lot of stubborn, stupid people. Don't come near me.
I don't have to come to you.
Get out of here.
You don't tell me that.
You're yelling at me and you're advancing towards me. Stop walking towards me. You're walking towards me. You're menacing me. Why don't you get out of here?
You get out of here. This is America.
I'm standing right here.
Like, you don't know who I am, bro.
I don't give a shit who you are. Get lost.
You don't know. No, you keep on working.
You're a racist. Get lost. How am I a racist? I'm just standing here. You're telling me white privilege. Get lost. Standing still, stupid. Get out of here. I didn't cuss. I'm not intimidating you. I'm not even talking to him. This guy's out of his friggin' mind. Just doesn't even know what he's talking about, but he wants to have a conversation. It's just polluted minds is what we're dealing with over here. Guy's a stupid idiot. So anyway, somebody who controls a trove of blank 2014, March 2014 Twitter accounts seems to have done that. I'd like to find out more about that, because it seems like it would have something to do with somebody, like maybe George's brother. That guy's out of his mind.
Don't respond, he will go away.
I was just standing here, he came and spoke to me. So we're on the lunch break here. And I just wonder, Giuliani says someone in the courtroom sitting next to him farted. That's exciting. 10 minutes ago. Honorable Judge Merchan exited the courtroom. That was an hour ago. Huh. So I guess lunch broke an hour ago? I thought we might see people streaming out of here going to lunch. It's a safe bet that we've got somebody monitoring this broadcast telling the people who I would want to talk to not to come out this way. It's a distinct possibility. Could potentially be hanging out here all day. The stream has been going for 2 hours so far. Now let's see, I do have to do a little bit of battery shuffling to make that happen. I've only got one stabilizer, but I can charge that from the battery. Switch the charger up. And the other thing that's a limitation on the battery is that phone up there. So that's looking, it's about 50%. We're going for 2 hours, so that's pretty good. I mean, you know, this could easily go until tomorrow. Whoa!
Sorry.
That's all right. That guy just hooked on one of my wires. It sort of pulled me down the street. Try to keep those tucked in. Yeah, that's sad that I'm not having chat. I could get that. Let's see if we can get on to Odyssey for a minute here. See what everybody's saying in the chat. Thanks to everybody who's watching on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth. Let's see who we've got here. 35 people. Thank you, everybody.
Good.
Hey, how you doing?
He's not coming out?
Norm?
Chump, he's not coming out?
I don't know.
About to go celebrate.
I don't think he's going to come out. He would come out.
They're going to hold him inside here? They're going to convict him, right?
He's not going to come out here.
No, I know he's not coming out here. I know that. these guys protect him all the way. All right.
Take care.
I'm running. So what are you going to do?
I don't know what that guy was getting onto, but how do I get the comments here? I don't know. This thing really doesn't want me to see comments. Oh, here, open live chat. There we go. Okay. So Boss Mayor suspects Boozy of the fake account. Keeps lots of troll. Yeah, but I don't know. Was Boozy involved in this in 2014? Maybe. It's a reasonable expectation. I mean, the reason why I think it's George and his brother is that Boozy's onto other things, and March 2014 and the blank Twitter accounts, it's just never really been fully explained, and now we've got more March 2014 Twitter shenanigans. That's a real large trove of blank accounts, and that one got suspended. The others did not. JJCT says, as per Paul and Gracia. So here's this guy again with the cowbell. He's just going on both sides. As per polling, right, Norm Eisen, one of the legal masterminds of all the lawfare being waged against President Trump, was spotted on the courthouse overflow room today. That's interesting. I thought Norm had VIP access to get into the main thing. I guess there's a lot of people coming and trying to see this now. Yeah, but Paul has definitely seen, I believe I've seen Paul around here since the Norm conversation, and I think he acknowledged, well, actually, he might have been standing right there when I was yelling at Norm, actually, come to think of it. He might have witnessed it in real life. And I think that's what he said when I saw him. He kind of acknowledged that. So that's interesting. And then Boss Mayor goes on to say, Boozy started with you right. Well, it wasn't right after Peter Smith's death. It was substantially after Peter Smith's death, but you're right about that. And see, yeah, Peter Smith is the other component of this that maybe I have failed to mention, but that also ties to General Flynn, because all of the reporting in the Wall Street Journal from Shane Harris was saying that Peter Smith, you know, was alluding to being in communication with Flynn. And there was just always this mystery, you know. Charles, who personally knew Peter Smith and who I allege was introduced to Peter Smith because they wanted to use Peter Smith to jam up Charles in the same way they used George Wade, and in the same way that they used Felix Sater and Michael Cohen to jam up Trump. Charles was introduced months before I ever met him to Peter Smith. And I guess the introduction was essentially like, oh, hey, you're interested in researching the Clintons, so is this guy. Why don't you talk to him? And Peter Smith was saying, hey, I have all these stolen, hacked, or I'm trying to get all these stolen, hacked emails from Russians, and it's going to be all about Hillary. You're going to want this. And Charles was saying, yeah, actually, no, I don't want that, because I don't like stolen, hacked stuff. I like, you know, legitimate, in the clear information. Because remember, Charles's background as a you know, financial expert, he doesn't want to get into insider trading and, you know, screwy deals. He's not into that. He wants his information to be clean and in the clear and public domain, freely available stuff. He doesn't want stolen, hacked emails because he's not dumb. So Charles was never going to take those emails from Peter Smith. And then ultimately Peter Smith died on like May something, 2017. Maybe like May 14th or 15th. Yeah, it was like 6 weeks, I remember, before I had met Charles, that Peter Smith died. And that was kind of weird because on June 30th, the first day I ever met Charles, at an interview set up by George, Shane Harris called Charles and starts asking him all about Peter Smith, and specifically all about this stuff that was written in an email sent by Benjamin Wittes, director of the Lawfare Institute, to James Comey. At that time, Comey was the director of the FBI, and Ben Wittes is telling him, hey, you know, I have all this information that's been assembled by a private British intelligence firm, which was not Christopher Steele, because this was in December. This was December 28th, 2016. Christopher Steele had already struck out. Remember, you know, Christopher Steele, that came about in like July 2016 at a press conference when people started saying, hey, Trump, Russia, you know, Russia, Russia, Russia. And Trump was like, well, Russia, if you're listening, if you could hack Hillary Clinton's emails, I'm sure the press would reward you. And they said, oh, Trump is telling them to hack. Look at that. Smoking gun. He's telling them to hack. So that's what they wanted to do, because they can, I mean, you see now the stupid, tenuous crap that they put together in court. So again, what they want is to be, oh, is that the presidential car? It says Trump 01. Is that a fake one or a real one? That's a fake limo that just got Trump 01 on it, right? Yeah, you can't just be driving that around. But it's got police sirens. That's weird. You can't just have one car like that. What is that? Seems like a novelty car. Yeah, so what they want is, they want to be able to put this together so that big giant dopes like that guy who just came out of there and started a conversation with me to tell me about white privilege because he doesn't understand the facts of the case. They want to convince idiots like that because they recognize that most people, first of all, are stupid. Most people, whether they're stupid or not, once they get an idea in their head, getting it out is like not going to happen that easily. And also, they need simple ideas. So if they have a video of Trump saying, Russia, if you've got Hillary Clinton's emails, give them to the press, then they have a bunch of emails between Peter Smith and Charles saying, hey, Charles, I'm going to get these emails from the Russian hackers. Then they have an email from Charles going to, I think, either Ted Malek or Jerry Corsi or Roger Stone, but somebody then forwards that email from Charles and it goes to each of those guys. Roger Stone, Ted Malek, Jerry Corsi all have this email of Charles, who's basically just sitting in his house watching the news. Julian Assange comes on and says, I have information that will put Hillary Clinton in jail. And Charles just does this. If he sees something interesting on the internet, he just send it with a comment. And he doesn't write long emails really ever. He will just send an email with something like this is worth reading or important to review or something like that. So he sends this email that says somebody should get to Assange. Or maybe he said to Ted Malek, because Ted Malek is living in London. He's an American guy, but he's like an economics professor or something at Oxford. And so Charles is just like, hey, you know, go to the embassy and see if you can talk to Assange and, you know, find out. Because if you can walk in to the embassy, and that's legal to do, and you can say to Assange, hey, what do you know about Hillary Clinton? And that's legal to do. And Assange says, hey, here's all this stuff that I know and it's being released on WikiLeaks, and that becomes public domain. Charles would then be interested, but he doesn't want to make backroom deals with Russian hackers to get stolen emails because it's just got disaster written all over it, and it just seems like a fraud on its face. So Charles isn't into crap like that, and he never went and, you know, he just never got the emails from Peter Smith. So then Peter Smith dies, and at first I thought that it was, that they said he died of suicide and that was typical, you know, Clinton body count, that kind of thing. Oh, maybe did we lose signal? Let's try going back to this other side of the park. Are we still going on the live stream here? Oops. So Peter Smith, oh yeah, it's still going. So Charles never got those emails from Peter Smith. Peter Smith dies May 14th, something like that. by suicide. And it's a very suspicious suicide because he asphyxiates by inhaling helium. And I've since learned that that is a pretty well-known method of suicide. The idea being that inhaling the helium, you know how you get that funny voice, it's because the gas is lighter than air, and it, like, if you just put a, you know, if somebody just suffocates, they convulse because they get carbon dioxide building up in their body, and it creates this reaction. Whereas with helium, because it is lighter than air, for whatever reason, it doesn't do that. You don't get that carbon dioxide buildup and you just sort of pass out. Nobody should do this, by the way. I read this online and I'm just making commentary about whether or not Peter Smith committed suicide, because at first it seemed very suspicious. Why is he using helium? Doesn't make sense. There was a really weird suicide note where he said something to the effect of, you know, no foul play, no need to investigate, all this kind of stuff. And there was also an issue of life insurance for his family. So since then we found out, Peter Smith was 81, I think, when this happened. And it turns out that if you've had a life insurance policy for X amount of years and gotten it to this, you know, people who are in life insurance will know what I'm talking about. But when you pay off the whatever, there are a lot of life insurance policies that even if you commit suicide, they still pay out. Plus, this happened in a hotel, the Aspen Arms. Wasn't that what it was called? Aspen something, Aspen, I think, Arms Hotel in Rochester, Minnesota. And that hotel is very near the Mayo Clinic. And it's basically almost the entire purpose of that hotel is for people whose family members are at the clinic. So it's like a extended stay hotel. And he was there because he was apparently having some kind of medical emergency, or not emergency, but a medical issue that he was dealing with. He had discussed that with Charles. So it was known that there was some medical issue, but I don't know that Charles was told that it was life-threatening or anything like that. But one hypothesis is that if it were cancer or anything that maybe on this trip to the doctor they determined were cancer, you're talking about an 81-year-old guy, or maybe he was even older than that, but faced with a terminal illness and somebody saying, well, you know, we could do this whatever treatment, maybe chemotherapy, maybe who knows what, and that's going to go on for, you know, 2 to 5 years, and you might be able to live, and everybody knows all the terrible things that happen when people undergo cancer treatment, and he might be thinking, well, gee, I'm really old, that sounds not so pleasant, plus it's going to drain X number of $100,000 per year, and I got a wife, and I got a son, and I think he has a daughter also, and maybe he was just thinking, if he could end his own life, leave all this money to the family, get out of this dirty business of trying to jam up Charles with fake emails. And by the way, there was still the possibility, he had to know, of getting in trouble during the time that he was doing all this chemotherapy treatment or whatever he might have been doing. And he could have been, you know, under a lot of stress. I don't know, but the point is, since we first learned about Peter Smith's suicide, there's a lot more evidence that supports the fact that he did commit suicide, but it seems like he had assistance. And why do I say that? Well, first of all, there's some euthanasia society that talks about how to do this method. They have a web page that I've seen. And they say that although you can do it by yourself, it's risky, and that it would be best done with the assistance of another person. The weird thing is, we have police crime scene photos from the hotel because a person who lives in the town was watching Crowdsource the Truth and said, holy cow, you know, Charles was explaining how he, you know, what he knew about Peter Smith and how he met him. And this person was saying, holy cow, I live in that town. Let me go over to that hotel. Let me go talk to the police. Let me go talk to the local news station. And they did. And she got all kinds of evidence and information.
Who's out here? And then for a second, I was like,
How you doing? Good? Yeah, I'm just checking on you. A lot of people very interested in what I'm doing. It's weird. So this woman got the crime scene photos from the local ABC News affiliate. She got, we got video surveillance footage from the Walmart. This hotel, again, it's an extended stay hotel, so it has certain things about it that are slightly different than maybe most hotels that you might have been to. And one of the things that it had was a bus service provided by Walmart. It's just a van, really, but provided by Walmart that every half hour or 45 minutes or something like that drives you to Walmart. There were 2 Walmarts in this town, and as I recall, one of them was like 29 miles in one direction, and the other was like 31 miles in the other direction, and this bus would only take you to the one that was 29 miles away. And what's interesting is the police crime scene photos revealed that there were 2 helium canisters in the room at the time of Peter Smith's death. But the surveillance footage, security footage from Walmart shows Peter Smith on there, shows him buying 1 helium canister. And the crazy thing is, when we did that episode, somebody working for Walmart saw it and said, hey, don't use my name, but here's a printout of the inventory from that store on the date that this occurred, and there was only 1 helium in stock. It's weird, right? Where did the other helium come from? And then the other thing is, the hotel gave this Crowdsource the Truth viewer information about the lock. You know, when you go to a hotel, they have those credit card keys and that electronic lock. I forget the name of the company that makes those locks, but this viewer contacted that lock company, and they were able to determine that 4 keys were issued during that hotel stay for that lock, and each of the 4 were used interchangeably throughout the duration of Peter Smith's stay. Now again, I'm going to speculate because I've stayed at a lot of hotels, maybe more than most people. And just because I do something a certain way doesn't mean that other people do, but when I go to a hotel and get one of those key cards, I always ask them for 2, and I put 1 in my wallet, and I put 1 in my back pocket, and the idea is if I forget the back pocket one or lose it, I've got the backup in my wallet. And I've spoken to a lot of people about this. Many people say, yeah, I do the exact same thing because it's obvious. And there have been times that I've lost the key or misplaced the key on a longer stay at a hotel where you're in and out of the room and you're changing clothes and it's in this back pocket and then you put on different pants or whatever and you leave the hotel. And sometimes I've even gone down to the hotel and gotten a 3rd key. I've never done that twice on one hotel stay where I've needed to get a 4th key, but usually on those 3 key incidents, the one that's lost doesn't get reinserted into the door. So the fact that all 4 were in use throughout, hey Steve, that's not him. The fact that all 4 were in use throughout, see, it's good that all these cops are standing around. Fights happening all the time, and they're just basically standing around helping hot women. Those guys look more police officer-ish than some of the others that we've seen. They definitely look fit and capable of smacking somebody like crazy. But it just seems odd to me that all 4 keys would be used interchangeably throughout the stay. It also seems weird that Peter Smith had no car. Nobody knows how he got to the hotel. No taxi receipt. And when I say that, a lot of people say, oh, he's not gonna have the taxi receipt. This guy kept every receipt. The police had, he had his passport with him. We've got scans of stuff that he had in his wallet. He had receipts from Walmart from purchasing the helium. No taxi receipt, no rental car, nothing. So it seems like there was somebody else with him at the hotel, and Peter Smith had a young assistant named Jonathan Safran. And I think he was 27 at the time.
Julian Assange!
Did you have a steward on the site? Shop steward on a big job?
John F. Kennedy!
That guy's shouting nonsense.
Sirhead! Sirhead! 56 motherfucking years ago!
To an astonishing 99%.
68.
It was developed by the brilliant mind of
Still think I'm Antifa?
Yes, but it was 1968.
Fucking douchebag.
A deadly
1968.
all cars built after 2005.
You just assaulted me.
1960, no, that was the Weasel.
That's what I was saying to you was 1968. That guy's full of shit. So what do you guys think about everything going on here in the park? Does this seem authentic to you, this activity?
I think they're all very confused.
Well, I think they're actors, and I've been studying this for the past 7 years. Yes, I think they're placed here by people who want the news to think that anybody supporting Trump is a lunatic and a maniac.
All about what's going on, man.
What's your problem, bro?
No problem.
Why'd you
but
come up to
got
me
it
and take my
freedom
picture?
here, okay?
Why are you
I just-
advancing to me? Why don't you back the fuck up, old man?
Don't
Get
say
your finger
fuck
out of
up.
my face, you fuck!
fucking shit, don't you say again?
Back up and keep your finger out of my face,
Don't
you
say
fucking asshole! I think back the fuck up! You just woke up to me and started a fight. I think you work for the Chinese Communist Party,
No,
and you're here
I'm
to
a
create a war. Get the fuck over
You
there!
fucking sucker, okay? Man,
Stop advancing!
family, all cities, American citizen, okay?
This guy just came up to me to start a fight. Get out of my
You want to
face.
see my fucking ID?
No.
My America, okay?
Stop
You have the jockey here,
advancing
motherfucker,
towards
okay?
me. Look at all these people coming
You
around.
came in here how many times? How many times to instigate problems?
That
how many
guy-
times
get
to
out of my
instigate
face.
problems? You want problems?
Officer, look at
You
this.
want problems? You come in here to instigate.
Asshole, that guy just walked up to me.
Oh,
I'm
quit being
standing
a cuck
here.
boy and go
These
do
people
something.
came right up to me. I'm not going to leave. I'm standing here. That guy came up to me. Then that guy came up to me. It's obvious what's happening here. These people in the insane costumes are trying to start fights so that this happens, so that everybody can get around and say, oh, look at how crazy the Trump supporters are. But the fact is, these lunatics have been here every single day. I was having a quiet conversation with two people. That Chinese guy charged into my face with a camera, started advancing as I was retreating because New York is a castle doctrine state where I am obligated to retreat. He's trying to entice me to defend myself so that you guys will rush over here and arrest me, and all of these wonderful NYPD credentialed news reporters can have a photograph of me getting arrested. That's what's going on here. If you guys can't see that, we need some detectives because it's obvious to me.
Look around, so you have all detectives.
Yeah, but they're standing over there, and when I get attacked like that, okay, so go arrest that Chinese guy for assaulting me.
You didn't
I
get
would
assaulted.
love
Take it there.
to make it easy for everyone so they could say and do whatever they like.
Uh-huh.
Okay? That's why we sectioned off 2 areas.
And then why have they allowed the Trump protesters here every day? No, because you guys change what you're saying every day.
I'm trying to talk to you, sir.
Yeah, but I don't like what you're saying because it's
Yeah, I don't even
obviously
let me finish.
false. I've heard it every day for the past week.
This is the first day we've been here.
Keep talking, keep talking.
I'm trying to talk to you specifically, right?
You keep interrupting. Let him talk. I'm listening. This guy's interrupting.
Have a nice day. That's my supervisor. That's not this.
So say something. What do you want to say?
I'm done.
Okay, then leave me alone. Get the hell out of here.
Don't talk to me that way, sir. Because I have not spoken to you very disrespectfully.
You have.
I have not.
You have.
Rewind your tape. We have not.
I'm not rewinding anything. Nobody's used the tape since 2006.
Fair point.
I'm getting menaced and stalked in this park every single day. You guys have detectives sitting over there doing nothing. I have been assaulted so many times. Don't tell me that you're being respectful and polite. NYPD 5355. That's a 33, isn't it, Mr. Vargas?
Have I read my voice to you in any way?
You have. You've interrupted me when I was talking.
I raised my voice to you?
NYPD is always condescending, okay? I'm standing here having a conversation. The guy charges over. Yeah, you're looking away.
Sir, because I
So what do you want to say to me?
Conversation with you without you having
What do you
a
want to
camera
say?
in my face.
You got a camera, I got a camera. I'm not talking to the police without a camera because you guys lie. I got
We're liars.
choked.
Have a nice day, sir.
You can record as much as you
You have a nice day. Yeah, we're liars.
You are liars. I got it in court. Go look up Goodman versus the City of New York. I have you guys lying. Look, here's this woman. She's assaulting me. She's with the Chinese guy who just assaulted me, and you guys are doing nothing. You're intimidating. You're standing around. You're creating a scene. I'm just standing here, and then these agitators came over. What?
You support Trump or not?
Of course I do. You see me. The problem is the Chinese guy got in my face to create this whole entire agitation.
You support Trump. Tell him that.
I don't need to tell him anything. He's taking pictures of me and yelling at me. Listen,
You want people to think you're an agitator?
they're the agitators.
I'm asking you, though. I'm asking, I'm talking to you.
You've seen me here every day. You've seen my videos. Whatever I say in response to that question is irrelevant. You need to look at what I do. I am. Of course I am. Dude, you're not understanding what I'm saying to you. Look.
I'm just trying to get an angle on someone. Not related to this, but I understand. Thank you for asking. Thank you.
So what do you want to say to me, Detective Vargas? So why are you standing here? Am I under
Because
arrest?
This is my post.
That's your post? It's funny. I haven't seen. See, look at this guy. Look at what he's doing.
Sir,
I'm standing here
I would
quietly.
really like to help everybody do everything.
I don't
that they
believe
want to
that,
do.
but
Then don't. Because I'm trying to talk to you nicely. Then don't.
good. Now you're leaving. That's exactly what I wanted. The cops are ineffective. The disruptors are over there.
He's a Soros provocateur. He's a Soros provocateur.
Is he saying that I am a Soros provocateur?
He gets money, spreading misinformation about Staten Island.
You're saying that I do that?
He started lying about Staten Island.
Ah, now we see what he's doing.
I'm very serious. He's out there to confuse me deliberately because I'm a leader. No.
This guy's saying that I'm lying about Staten Island? It's amazing. Why don't we get some fatter cops? That will probably help.
Exactly. He wants to be what?
More donuts.
I think the police were being pretty polite.
No, you're helping.
That's nice, but I didn't ask you your opinion, and I disagree.
Yes, I will. Sometimes they kill black people. Do you respect them when they kill black people? Fuck you. Oh, really? Oh.
So this guy wanted to have a conversation with me. Then at his first opportunity, he began saying that I'm paid by Soros and that I'm agitating and that I'm an agitator. Meanwhile, I was standing there minding my own business. Everybody saw it on video. That Chinese old guy ran up to me, got in my face, started pointing his finger at me. I backed up, he advanced. Then all the police flooded into the park because what they're trying to do here, and we've now seen it happen on multiple occasions just this morning, these morons want to create some kind of a fight so that I can be dragged out of here or somebody can be dragged out of here. They want an arrest. They want it to be that this is not peaceful.
I will gladly leave.
Now, you were saying that I was lying?
You might think you're in charge, but you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not. Defund the war in Ukraine. Defund the war in Ukraine. But where do you stand on that, lady? Do you want to help Joe Biden's endless war? Hundreds of billions on hundreds of billions? I'm with Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm with who?
What were you saying about me in Staten Island?
Taylor Greene.
You said I was lying about Staten Island?
You know what you were doing.
I'm not lying about Staten Island. I thought you wanted to talk to me, and then we didn't even talk, and suddenly you decided to tell everybody I'm lying when I'm telling the truth. Danny Presti's felonies were all dropped. Why wasn't Danny prosecuted? How come when I called Lou Jaramello, whatever his name is, and told him that Cuomo just polluted every single jury, in New York State by going on TV and saying he assaulted NYPD when he didn't, and then all the felonies got dropped. So tell me, what am I lying about?
Everybody can see.
What am I lying about? You're one of the people who's placed here to look like a maniac and say a lot of nonsense and start a fight, and you just proved that because you were pretending to be my friend earlier, and then when you had your first opportunity on camera, you started saying that I'm doing something bad. So I don't want to make you guys uncomfortable. I don't want to make you uncomfortable, but I just offer you to take all that in and see what just happened. We were having a calm conversation. I was having a calm conversation with these fine people. An elderly Chinese gentleman came right at me, taking pictures of me, and I put my camera in his face and said, "Why are you taking pictures of me?" Started shouting and yelling, saying that I'm a disruptor, that I'm here to somehow do something. But what I've actually been doing is for the past several days, I've been going through this crowd. And the reason that guy is screaming about Staten Island is because 4 years ago, there was an incident in Staten Island that I allege was a hoax, staged by the police. And that guy was involved. Why would the police stage a hoax? Well, this was happening at the beginning of the pandemic. And the nature of the hoax was a restaurant called Mac's Pub was defying the lockdown. And the owner, Danny Presti, the fist of the police was brought down on him with great strength. And there were a lot of felony charges. And I allege the whole thing was a hoax to convince every other restaurant owner in Manhattan that if you defy the lockdown, you're going to jail. Because what's happened now is none of these felonies have been charged against Danny Presti. While he was still being charged, I saw him at another protest at City Hall. Now, ma'am, I don't know if you have kids, I'm not asking you. But this guy was married, 2 kids. If you were married and did have kids, and your husband had, 5 felony charges against him, and he said, "Hey, beautiful wife, I'm going to another protest to light COVID masks on fire in front of the mayor's house," wouldn't you say, "Danny, no, you got to stay here with the kids because you're already in danger of going to jail. Don't upset the cops anymore"? He's there lighting masks on fire while he's got these pending felonies. I ask him questions about this, no answers. That crazy guy, I walk in here this morning, he's like, "Hey buddy, how you doing? Remember me from Staten Island?" I said to him, "Danny Presti works for the cops like that maniac." And he's like, "That's intriguing. I'd like to talk to you about that." But then now all of a sudden he decides I'm an infiltrator. Sorry, I got to get out of the sun or this phone is going to overheat. But just absorb what's going on in this park. It's all nonsense put on by the police. Come here. What do you got to say? Stupid. Hey. That guy, I think I saw him the other day chanting "Free Palestine," that guy over there. He says, "I'm a disruptor." Ridiculous. Ridiculous. So every day it's something else in this park. But I mean, again, we're here just identifying these people because obviously I'm not here to disrupt. People are, not obviously, I'm not going to even say that. People should watch this video and come to their own conclusion about what anybody here is here to do, including the cops, right? Did you see all that go down?
I saw some.
What did you think?
I saw.
What?
I don't have much of a thought other than I saw an interaction.
Well,
I saw some words exchanged, and that's about it.
Right.
I didn't hear it.
Because what's going on? Look around this park. There are normal people here, then there's press here, and then there's maniacs like this guy who are put here to make the out-of-town press and the general people who see these little clips to think that hobos, degenerates, and weirdos are supporting Trump, and to get regular people like me in an altercation that will cause the police to drag me out of here. I'm Jason Goodman. I'm the founder of Crowdsource the Truth, and I confronted Norm Eisen outside the court the other day.
Content or media?
I mean, it's a YouTube channel where I do stuff exactly like this.
One more time, sorry.
Crowdsource the Truth. And you can find it on Twitter as well. If you saw that video, 1.9 million people have seen the video of Norm Eisen walking out of the court and me explaining to Norm that his lie has just been exploded by Robert Costello's testimony that Michael Cohen came up with the plan to pay the hooker all on his own. And that's the fact. So these are all paid, not all, but that guy, he's in his second wardrobe for today. He was wearing a costume earlier with a mask. I don't see other people doing that. Does that seem normal to you? This is what they do. They take people who disguise themselves as Trump supporters and come in here and create problems. And if you're here for a day, or this is the third day you've been here over the course of the thing, you don't put together what's going on. But I have seen these people around for the past 7 years. Have fun. Gonna make it very difficult for the cops to arrest me. So that guy, he's part of the Johnny Tobacco Staten Island crew. And I mean, he just gave us more evidence that I'm right. As far as I'm concerned, he wanted to have a conversation, but now he's just, you know, hanging out. He keeps going back to that same table, almost like it's his home base.
Cops are assholes. Well, okay.
Very interesting. We got some comments here. So let's see, Laura. Let's see what Laura has put out. Something about Joyce Vance. So Judge Juan Merchan is allowing his daughter's clients to have unrestricted access inside the Trump trial. Yeah, that makes sense, and that's consistent with what I was finding. They're definitely controlling access because, look, like anything, they know it's valuable to be inside the court there. See, the cops are always going to run over when I'm involved in something because they want me the F out of here. But they're not going to do anything to that other guy, and they're not going to do anything to actually enforce the pro-Trump, anti-Trump designation. They're breaking that to, you know, specifically incite disruptions. Yeah, I mean, there's so many things about this that are obviously crooked. 55 pages of jury instructions that they're not allowed to have a printout of. I don't think you even need to be a lawyer or a juror to understand that that's absurd.
About a cigarette. How about that one? Have fun.
I mean, we really don't need to talk to that old hobo because we know that he was deceiving me. First, he was like, oh, I want to talk to you about that. You've intrigued me. But then without even talking about it, he obviously already had his mind made up. And in the moment where he thought it was an opportunity to escalate and get me arrested by the cops, which I believe is their goal, that's when he started to unload. See, these guys always seem to reveal their hand just a little too soon. Like Ivan Raiklin, when he tried to violate the unconstitutional court order against me, he didn't quite do it. They just keep falling short. George's stupid brother, all these guys. That's why people frequently say like, oh, Jason, don't do this, don't do that. You're gonna get in trouble. But the point is, if you decide you want to get into alligator wrestling, you got to get in the mud. And you're going to get bit practicing. You don't want to get your head bit off, but to expect that you're not going to get cut, scratched, and dirty, you're not going to learn how to wrestle alligators. But that's the thing. We bring them up to the brink. We learned something right there. It was quite interesting, I thought. It's our battery.